human supremacist. I am a human supremacist. That term will be the future war with the robots and the AI. What you're hearing now is the entire future and everything they tried to stop us from doing. Our supremacy will not end with this planet. We will people the stars. We will colonize. We will green dead worlds. We will go interdimensional. We will unlock the secrets of the universe. God has laid them out like Christmas presents for his children. And I am extremely honored to be in the fulcrum and the heart of the fight to bring our race, the human race, in a race for the future. I am honored to be here. And we will break the enemy. We will break the pedophiles. We will break the Satanists because God already sent his own self down here to show us he could do it. God would never ask us to go through an obstacle course he wouldn't go through. And now we're going to go through what Christ did. And we're going to go through it, and we're going to be destroyed, but reborn on the other side.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Yeah, they make some good points.
Hi, Lauren. Welcome.
Hi. That was a lot of yelling.
That's Alex Jones. That's all he does.
There's a lot. I mean, like, if not that man is passionate about things.
Stuff.
Yeah. You haven't heard his rants about the lizard people either. He does that too. That's pretty fun. Hey, Victor.
No, I have not. I have.
Hey,
not.
at least he's now not a white supremacist, a human supremacist. Yeah. But I consider myself, Doug, welcome to all of y'all, a beer supremacist. What does that mean? I just made that shit up. I have no idea. I think beer is a supreme
drink
beverage of the land.
We will go and liberate the
beer and conquer all the other liquids,
or something. Zach, I'm not sure if that's.
Yeah, you're not on that level, Zach. You're our favorite weirdo, but you're not on that level of weird, man. Thank
you. That's a bit much. And this is not a bit much, Doug. It's a Hopalicious from defunct brewery Ale Asylum. Yes, so
man.
I figure I'd cheers them out, but it was funny because when a brewery ends, usually there's a rush for all the beer, and I don't know, I was able to pick this up pretty easy. I'm gonna go looking tomorrow, see if I find something. I'm on this like Ale Asylum treasure hunt kind of thing. See how long it's gonna be out there and what's going on. So yeah. This is a Lauren, this is a pale ale. So it's a really hoppy one. And this is one of the most popular Madison beers maybe ever, actually. And
even more than Spotted Cow.
Different.
Spotted Cow is made in Monroe.
Oh, okay. So.
And this is made in Madison. So what I mean by Madison, I meant like made in Madison. Spotted Cow rules this whole state. So let's not get it twisted. But for hoppy beers, this ruled this whole state.
Yeah.
So it's an OG. It's still tasting pretty good. Still tasting pretty good. And I'm gonna be sipping on this in my Great Taste glass. The Great Taste of the Midwest is coming up in about 2 weeks. So I'm going in on all Madison, man. What do you got, Lauren? Sorry, we should go to ladies first. But
I'm here for it. I feel like I might have posted this in a group before, but I haven't, and it's earlier in the day and still warm. So I'm starting here with an ale. Oh my gosh, Ale Industries. It's a Kolsch, and I love this like metallic map of
like a city grid.
Yeah, it's like of the East Bay. I was like, that is like
there you go.
Here we go. Okay, I got to cover up certain things. But I love this can art, Doug. And I have had it before, and it's tasty, and I'm starting there.
Nice. I'm starting hoppy, though, Greg. But I'm starting hoppy NA style. So, Brooklyn's Special Effects Hoppy Amber. So it's their NA offering. I bought a variety pack where they have an amber, a hazy IPA, a regular IPA, and I cannot remember the fourth. But the hoppy amber sounded interesting to me. You know how I am with hops, Greg. Sometimes that's a little not in my wheelhouse there. So we're going to give this a go because I have to drive 9 hours tomorrow. So I don't want to drink. I don't want to drink a whole bunch of huge stuff. So I'm going to
9 hours.
Yeah, we're going to Maine. So yes. So yeah, pour that out.
Didn't you already go to Maine?
Yeah, I went with Jill for her work trip, but this is an actual vacation with all our kids. So.
A fun one.
Yeah, so you can see nice dirty glass. All the bubbling.
Yeah. That's a tomorrow Doug problem. Correct.
Oh man, that's super good. Like really crisp. Like not like the amber is very muted and the hops are a little muted. So it's almost like a hoppy amber water, but that's really refreshing.
Nice.
Hey Jay, I'm going to take you over to the south side with Gwen Stefani if you don't knock it off.
Nice. And because Zach wanted it, there he goes, Zach.
Ooh.
Yeah,
It's true. I appreciate it, and it's confusing. The extra hand.
You know,
I'm always waiting for it now. It like messed every time. Ugh.
It's like the old Godzilla movies where it's like, whoa.
It's great. Oh my god. The scale is what's confused. I think the scale is what throws me. Where it's just like your face is here, but then your hand is gigantic.
I'm the claw or whatever, right, Doug?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's get this show on the road, yo.
Yeah.
Let me get my beer first. Look at that. There we go. There we go. The thirsty hand. Absolutely.
A thirsty hand.
This
That sounds
is
like a great bar name. Like a great bar name. A thirsty hand.
So
And it'd be like the hand from the Munsters.
with an attachment.
Be a great logo.
Do y'all ever do what I do sometimes, which is pour a small ass glass and then just keep pouring and pouring and pouring like 4 times? Because I want the head and then I want the aromatics.
You know, that is something that I was like, I don't really have a small glass, so I'd just like be pouring like I mean, I guess I have like a shot glass, but like, or else I'd just be pouring like teeny tiny, like if I had a real glass, I'm just like pouring little bits, then it feels sadder. I don't know. But but the payoff of like freshly poured is I should do that next time. Maybe next beverage.
Yeah, and another thing, that's how I drink my Sorrel, y'all, is in a small glass. Because sometimes I want it cold and sometimes I want it warm.
And then you also have the opportunity to mix it up with every new pour.
Mm-hmm. Or you just learn and just the bottle.
Also an option. Delicious.
And Daniel's on point here.
Oh, yes. I have not successfully done that yet. So I'm sorry, soon or than later.
Already starting to show off great.
I'm not even. But what I guess it's time for us to bring on our guests because that's what we do here, right? This got real fast.
It's so quick. It's so early in the stream, but we're here. So
our guest is unique tonight because we all know him equally. It feels like. And it's rare because usually Lauren introduces to someone, or Doug is introducing us to someone, or I'm introducing, or sometimes it's Doug and I, but rarely it's usually just our guests are driven by one person, introducing us to them, and it's great. We had Jamie Nicely. I got that right? Jamie Nicely? Jessie Nicely.
You got the right letter.
Yeah, okay. She was fantastic, and I thought the after show went longer than the damn show last week.
The after show was going on. Yeah.
And Jessie was cool as hell. She was cooking. It was the first time someone was actually cooking or not even cooking, but preparing a dish. And then we started talking about bourbon. I don't know.
Just
I don't even
many
remember that.
alcohols.
The details were a little hazy at that point.
So was the beer, actually. I thought somebody brought out a hazy. But anyway, without further ado, our guest tonight is someone that we all equally know. And y'all know him too because he's been here, what, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times?
Return guest.
Hey, each time he's on feels like three appearances. Feels like 3 appearances.
Right, it does. It literally does. His name is Roberto Santiago. He's a friend of all of ours because of Dad 2.0, I believe. And he is dad. He plays rugby. He's an all-around great guy. He's going to be on the screen right now. This is going to be the most awkward introduction that we give. Wow.
Perfect. Smooth.
Perfect. What an intro.
That was my finest.
So wait, so last week's guest, because I missed the show last week. Last week's guest was cooking?
Just
Not
nicely.
on the street.
Not on the street.
On the after show.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to say, like, I'm making my 11-year-old cook dinner because my wife is working. And so, like, I was like, well, if I knew I could have been cooking, I would have just
I
I would have
mean,
done that. So, but it is chaos out there. So I really, like, we wouldn't be able to hear anything if I was trying to cook because the kids are just, they're all
We
over.
should do that once, though, Doug.
just
But what we're going to do on the stream is run around like idiots.
I
Or at
love
least
that.
I am.
Me too.
Doug, are you?
Are you guys gonna run around like idiots too?
Yeah. We might as well just jump in.
Yeah,
Y'all know
let's do it.
Roberto. We'll talk about what he does and who he is later. We'll get to that shit. But let's get that. Man, I'm having a time, aren't I?
show over from last week.
All right. This is what I wanted to do, god damn it. All right.
Are you sure you're only on your first beer?
Yeah, I don't know. I had a good day. I don't know what the hell's going on with me. Anyway, maybe I'm frazzled because I love Berto.
maybe
Excited.
I have
You
that
all do.
effect on people sometimes.
You do. And the also effect you're going to have on people is when we do this, which is the 40 for 40 race on September 10th. This is not the main reason you're here because you were booked before this, I believe.
Mhm.
You're just here because we love you. But in between that, you came up with an idea about a charity, so you're going to tell us all about it, and then we're going to ask you a gazillion questions. And yeah.
Sure, yeah. So, weird running projects are apparently my thing. I did not know this pre-pandemic, but it sort of worked out that way. So, the little backstory is that it was actually around this time. It was like late July, early August of 2020. I got laid off from my job. And so here I am, like in the middle of a pandemic, right? It's like early days, and I have no health insurance, and I have all these kids, and there's no vaccines. Like, it was a very stressful time. And so I knew, like, okay, I'm going to be okay. I can go back to freelancing. We'll figure out the health, but I needed something to distract myself. And I always wanted to run a marathon. So I decided, okay, I'm going to run a marathon. But the reason I've never done it is because you mentioned rugby, years of skateboarding, basketball. So I was training for a marathon in 2007, and I found out I could only go 13 miles before my knee just would not function anymore. But I figured I could do this, and my plan was I'm just going to run it around my block. All right, so I'm going to get out my GPS, and I'm going to walk around my block and find out how long that is, and then figure out how many laps do I have to do just around the block to go a marathon. And 77. So this was like my first pandemic project. Was like, okay, I'm going to run 77 times around the block. Doesn't sound like that many, but it is. It really.
It does sound like many to me.
Yep. Does it? I feel like 77 times around a block. I don't know. A block seems small, right? So you're like, yeah, whatever. It's not like I live in like Manhattan and a block is like, I live in a small town. So, but then I thought, okay, well, maybe I can make this a something that'll help other people, and I could do this for charity. But like the challenge there is I'm not a charity. Like I'm not a 501c3. I'm not even an organization. I'm just me. So like, how do you convince people to just like give you money? I'm also like, just part of my personality is I don't like asking people for things, right? Like I don't like asking for help. I don't like asking because like it's a pandemic. It's just the world. Like everybody needs their money. Everybody has problems. It's like I used to go on Facebook back in the day when that was a thing that you would do. And I would see like everybody would be posting like buy grapefruits for my kids like fundraiser at school. I'm like, I can't buy 75 people's grapefruits and sell my own grapefruits. Like we have to come up with a better system for selling the grapefruits. We can't just all like be trading grapefruits around. Like that's the economy now. So it's hard to ask people for things. But I decided to do it. And then we made it a family thing. And each person in my family chose a charity. And we all got people to pledge for how many laps we could do. Because I wanted this thing to work even if I didn't make it. And so I ended up making it. I ran, it was like a 6-hour marathon. I looked it up. That's like average for someone who's 77, like years old. But so I'm in, at whatever I was at the time, 42 or whatever. I was like as in shape as a peak in shape 77-year-old. So, if you want to know the comparison there. But I made it. We raised $2,400 for our local food bank. My oldest kid, Ryu, who I guess was probably, I don't know, what 20, so 2 years ago, was 11 at the time, ran 15 miles altogether, like 5 miles at a time with some breaks. Yoshiko, who was like 5, ran, I don't know, like 4 miles. Tanisa ran with me. Anyway, we all raised money for these charities. And then I didn't exercise again for like a year, like at all. Because I was like, I did it. I did all the exercise. I crammed it all into one day. That was it. And then my friend Lauren on Twitter started trying to help us all get back in shape. And we could talk about that in a little bit too. But I decided I wanted to do more to get back in shape. And then there's a writer and a guy who I think some of us, or at least know of, named John Finkel. And he puts really fun stuff on Twitter. And one day he said, okay, here's an idea for a TV show. It's just 40-year-old guys running a 40-yard dash to find out like who really is the world's greatest dad. And I thought like that would be hilarious. Like we should do that. Like we should actually do that. It took like 6 months for me to put it together. So I was like, okay, like John Finkel, I'm calling you out. Like we got to do this. And he answered, he's like, I'm not much of an organizer, but if someone puts it together, I'll do it. So like, I decided to do it. This was going to be my weird charity running project. I tried to get a real charity involved, an organization that knows of me and who I know. And they kind of passed and they decided, I was like, can people just donate to you and then you can give the money out? Because we'll get into the mechanics of it in a minute, but they said it wasn't for them. So I, again, had to sort of go off on my own and like try to figure this out and try to convince people to give me money and trust me. And like, I have no idea if there's tax implications on this for me or what. Like, I don't care. It's fun. So the idea is this. We're going to get a bunch of people who are over the age of 40 around the country. Anyone can sign up. The sign up is super complicated. You can send me a DM on Facebook or Twitter. And I'll ask you for some information and I'll put your bio up on the website. The idea is on September 10th, wherever you are, you go out to a field somewhere or just in front of your house, like wherever you want to do it. And you mark off 40 yards and you run it as fast as you can. So that's pretty simple, right? But this idea that John Finkel had of like, let's make it a TV show. I was like, yeah. Like, let's do that. Because I did Facebook Live and do some like periscopes or whatever for my marathon. But I was saying like, we could really make this work. Like we could do a live stream, but how do we do it where we bring people like when they're ready to run, right? They join in and someone films them and maybe does a little interview or whatever. They can talk about the charity they're running for. And so that's why I thought of you guys, because you guys are amazing and hilarious and super fun. And you know how to do this stuff. I do not know how to do this stuff. So I'm trying to bring in as many partners as I can. Right. Um, yeah, Zach, make me a Google form. I didn't even think of that. That's a good idea. I've just, I'm basically like mailing things to people, uh, essentially. And then, of course, I'm a Bay Area person. It is very Gishy. It is very Gishy, though not technically Gish affiliated. And I know a bunch of Bay Area people, and I thought, oh man, this is so great. So we can get the Bay Area people all together in one place to run. And I recruited Lauren to be like our sideline reporter, like streamer extraordinaire, to be like on site, maybe doing some filming, doing some post race interviews, some pre race interviews, something fun like that. But the way this works is the run people want to run, sign up, and we're going to give you a profile on my blog on the webpage there, and people can go and look at it, and they can pick who they want to run. And the rest of you people who don't want to run, or even if you are running, you can pick who you think's going to win and donate any amount of money through the GoFundMe. And then after you do that, leave a little note in the comments that says who you're pledging for, right? Like, I think Doug is going to run one of the top 3.
That's dubious, but
People
okay.
have faith, Doug.
Right. And I'll tell you,
I think those people are drunk, but that's okay.
So the top finisher is going to get half of the money we raise donated to the charity of their choice. And you can go and see the charities that people are running for on the website. And the website, it's an interdisciplinarylife.com, which I did myself no favors picking a word that is hard to spell. But it is, you can, look up how to spell that if you need to. I do sometimes. But you can pledge on who you think is going to win. And I am trying to get together basically a drawing. So if you choose the right person, you will be entered in a drawing to win something that I have not figured out yet, which that's probably the most ishy thing I've said so far, is there will be some sort of prize, but we don't know what it is.
That's where you're going to just go with, like, it's a mystery prize.
It's a mystery prize, exactly.
Grab bag prize.
But the idea is to really just go in and pledge for who you want to have win, right? Like, which charity do you think is the best? Which person looks coolest in their profile picture? Like, who has the least amount of hair? Whatever criteria you have, you can pledge. The goal right now is fairly modest. It's $1,000. We're about a third of the way there. So please, also, even if you can't run, and even maybe if you don't have any money that you can spare, do me a favor, look up the hashtag 40 for 40 race. That's 40 FOR 40 race. It's probably up here. Oh, it's right there. It's on my little thing. Look that up. Share it. Get other people to donate. Get other people to run, right? But get people involved. Let's try to raise some money for charity. And I was with my good friend Charlie Capon the other day, and Charlie went on a whole rant. Lauren was there. Charlie went on a whole rant because the official name is the 40 for 40 race for the. That's the official name. And the what? That's the question, right? It's not grammatically correct. The 40 race for the last part is for whoever wins to fill in, right? It's the race for the cure. It's the race for women's rights. It's the race for, the clinic down the street. It's the race for the food bank. Whatever. You win, you get to pick. So we'll change the name after somebody wins.
I guess I should probably register for that and get my charity things set up, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
You should. Official.
I should probably do that. Yeah. Hey, you know what we didn't do? We didn't ask Roberto what he had in his glass.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll show the can. This is from one of my favorite local spots. It's called Hoi Polloi. Hoi Polloi Brewing. And you can see, if you're familiar with the Bay Area, this is the map of our little light rail system. It's called Bay Area Rapid Transit. All right. It's got the whole thing there. You can learn all about it. This is, I'm starting light. This is the RPM American Wheat. And it's funny. It tastes a little like bananas. It's not a fruit beer. It's not.
It's like not just supposed to.
But wheat beers can have that profile depending on how they're made. That's not typical, but it's not unusual. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like some serious banana action here.
That's a
Bananas.
side note.
That's you got to pull that one out. Serious banana action.
Yep.
We're keeping it in the show. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
I was
Doug
just-
wants head all the time, and I've got serious banana action. So
so I know I like that our two cans
Yeah.
like overlay each other. Like it's very appropriate for Bay Area representation. I like
we
it.
got to represent the Bay. We got to keep it local. And Lauren, you and I actually went to Hoi Polloi on
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Which I hadn't been to before. So that was really great. And I appreciate you for that. Had very tasty beverages. If anyone's in the area, they should absolutely go there. It's Asian owned, right? Or
It
run.
is. It is. I believe they're Filipino Americans. Yeah, like it's a great spot because it's a tiny little, like, it's like the size of my bedroom. And yet somehow they managed to like have a DJ in there on the weekends, and it gets pretty hopping. Bart actually smells more like pee and people who are unhoused a lot of the time.
As most mass transit can tend to smell. Yeah.
But they had a little outdoor spot where we hung out, and it was nice. Do you remember what you had?
I tasted a couple of things, but because of the warm weather that day, I actually went with, they had a cider also, beer for all. I went with a cider, but it was a ginger peppercorn that was like very refreshing and crisp and like a little zingy, well balanced. So I liked that. But I tried a couple of the other ones as I was like, what do I want to do? They were super nice about it too. Like, you want to taste a thing? Which was great. But I had a cider and it was delicious.
Yeah, I had.
Hot.
I think it was some sort of berry sour. I don't remember what the berry was.
I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't know, but it was a similar kind of thing for me because I've been there a lot and I've had a lot of their beers, and they have a lot of the styles. So like a couple weeks ago, you had like the woman on Jones Brewing.
Jessica Jones.
Jessica Jones. How could I forget that? Right. So you had her on, and like that was like an amazing show. Like I learned so much. But she's talking about like the styles and the like weird like squishing and limitation of the styles. It's like there's an hazy IPA and a West Coast IPA and an Imperial IPA, like, and I've had a lot of those. So I was like, well, I've never had the whatever raspberry sour. And I think it was Creed. Creed was like, that's what you drink? You drink that? And I'm like, I do today, man. Like, I haven't had it. I don't, I come here often. I want something I've never had.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was also because it was hot. It was very refreshing. Even though the forecast had said it was going to be like a high of 61, it was like 80.
Warmer.
And Creed kept telling us how cold it was. It's chilly. It's cold. I'm like, bro, I'm dying.
Too hot.
Sweating. So yeah. So Hoi Polloi, that's what I'm having today. I got a few Hoi Pollois that we can talk about as we go along.
Yeah, that's a great name for a brewery. I really like that.
Yeah, and they have sort of this little explanation here. Hoi polloi is an expression from Greek that means the many or the majority. In English, it has been corrupted with it's hard to read this actually, negative connotation to signify a depreciation of the working class. It is used as a reference to commoners, the masses, or the common people in a derogatory or ironic sense. So I guess our Filipino hipsters have then turned that around and made it an ironic thing by making it cool.
Taking it back.
That's
Double
right.
ironic.
Yeah.
40 yards. 40 yards.
40 miles.
It's gotta be
40 minutes.
Okay, maybe we need a Cliff's Notes version. So 40 for 40. It is anybody, men, women, all the people, 40 years or older, 40 yard dash.
Yeah.
And you can sign up on this web
Well,
webpage.
that's the GoFundMe.
That's
So
the-
that's where you
that's
can
the donate.
donate. You can learn more. But if you go to a disciplinary life, oh God, that's not even it.
You can do it.
Even you messed it up.
Right?
We're gonna put a link somewhere.
And interdisciplinarylife.com.
Well,
Go
this
to-
is the GoFundMe.
So that's the GoFundMe. That's where you can really learn more. Or if you just search the hashtag on the Twitters, you can
Yes.
find it.
And
Um,
Facebook.
And you know, it's interesting because I was able to get $2,400 for the food bank by myself, and now we have like a bunch of you guys running. I figure we should be able to blow past $1,000. Like, you know, it's not for me. It's for charity.
Yeah.
I don't know which charity. I can't tell you that because I don't know yet. Someone has to win this thing.
Only you can help choose the winning charity.
Or just go win it.
Also that.
That's the thing. So let me ask you guys, Doug, Greg, Lauren,
Hey.
have you guys ever played any like competitive sports?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. What'd you play, Doug? Basketball?
Yep. I played at a Division III college. That's as far as I got.
I mean, that's legit, man. You know. What about Greg, Lauren?
Tennis, hockey.
Yeah.
Cool.
So let me ask, like, okay, so Doug.
Yeah.
And Greg, you said tennis?
Yeah. I didn't make the team though.
But you played.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I like these examples because these give us a couple good examples. Let's say someone, Doug, for you, like in a game of one-on-one, like let's say I said I could beat you in a game of one-on-one, right? And, you know, maybe you believe that, maybe you don't. But let's just, for the sake of argument, let's say you don't necessarily believe it. Okay. Or Greg, what if I said, yeah, we get on the court, I'm going to like just blow aces by you. You got no chance. Right? Some part of you, even if it's not now, at some point in your life would be like, let's go. Right? Am I assessing the situation correctly?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what if someone told you they could beat you, but that they weren't going to participate in the actual like challenge?
Then those people can go fuck off because
Whoa.
hey, you wanna talk shit, that's fine. But if you don't want to back it up, then that's like saying, I know that. Well, okay, well, what is it? Oh, I'm not telling you.
Right.
That's what that feels like to me. So yeah, I don't mean fuck off literally. I'm not that mean. I just mean like don't talk shit and then be like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that. Well, then don't run your mouth unless you're running it in a joking manner. That's a different beast. But like if you're just all right. So Victor and I had this running joke about Lisa and the Cult Jam. So it's always like 90s dance shit. It's the jokes for me. So because I used to dance and stuff. So yeah.
For some reason, I can see that.
Okay, so what if someone would
It's really
challenge
bizarre.
you?
Dance battle.
Right.
Well, yeah, what if someone challenged you to a dance off and then wouldn't dance?
Right.
Same thing.
Yeah.
I'm not taking you seriously. You can go over there.
It lowers your estimation of that person in some way.
Yeah,
Yes.
like if
Right.
you can't back, you're like you can't.
Right.
You're gonna say this, but then not do it. You're like, okay, well, clearly you can't.
So, Lauren, what happened on Wednesday?
Our friend Charlie did just that. Of I know I can run faster, but doesn't want to do it. Doesn't want to show up.
Doesn't want to. Did you say I don't want to show you up? Just,
No.
I don't want
Right.
okay.
Just not gonna do it because I know, and I don't have to prove it to you. But don't you?
Yes.
Kind of. And here's the thing: if you really know, you don't have to flex like that at all. You don't have to say shit. You're like, yeah, I don't even need. Why bother?
Ooh, is this an insecurity situation?
Could be. Could be.
So I just want to take a moment as we're talking about the race here, and I hope that everyone will check out the hashtag 40 for 40 race. Find yourself some updates. Keep following the news. Maybe share it with your friends and say, hey, this is a cool thing. You guys should just throw $5 at it. You know, I mean, look, I can't give you whatever it is, $1 billion like the Mega Millions jackpot. You know, you could spend $5 on that. and you'll have nothing for it,
maybe
probably. Or you can spend $5 supporting this race. But I want to go kind of WWF style, like old school WWF style, right?
What,
Like
trash talking.
Like I want to say like, and the other person who hasn't signed up yet, and I haven't bugged him as much, but I will probably is John Finkel. This was his idea.
The OG tweet.
Yeah, like
he's like the fitness guy. What the fuck?
Yeah, so he hasn't signed up either. So
yeah, that.
If you'll just indulge me for a moment. Hey, you Charlie Keepin! I hear you running your mouth about how you can run 40 yards faster than me. So I'm calling you out, brother. On September 10th, at the 40 for 40 race for the brother, I'm going to see you in your little shorts. That's right, brother. I'm going to be wearing probably a shirt from a race that I ran at some point. Whatever's comfortable for the weather. And I'm going to run 40 yards,
crushing spandex
yards, because you got to slow down. That's right. Oh, yeah. But I know one thing, that at the end, you will have run a slower time than me in front of everybody. The gathered masses of Bay Area people who for some reason follow me on social media. That's right. And all the people who turn into the stream. And our friend Lauren Yee. That's right. We're going to see you out there, brother, running slow. And Finkel. Are you Finkel, brother? Are you Einhorn? That's what I need to know because neither of you have signed up. And this was your idea. Why are you ducking me? I know you do that thing with the ropes and you lift on Mondays and you shoot hoops with your brother who you never beat. And maybe that loss is starting to pile up, my friend. And you're afraid you're going to lose to me too. Because I want to see both of you out there on September 10th when we put on the Royal Rumble. That's right. Because I'm going to be taking it home. And you will be eating my dust.
Ooh,
We're going to have that clipped out, and we'll have that on Twitter by Monday for sure. We're going to get...
my kids if they
I'll
had
make
any
sure...
spandex I could wear, because I don't have any. I was thinking like an 11-year-old's leotard would have been good, but it was, yeah. Anyway.
We're going to make that happen. Look at that. It's 40 minutes in. I got to write it here. I gotta
make that clip later. That's great.
I'll remove myself a little bit. I want to show Zach this because he loves my...
a new beverage.
Touch of Crunch. I need something to settle me down after that hype. There, y'all.
Is that a cereal beer? What is that?
It looks like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch beer, it looks like.
Yeah.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch is like everywhere.
Yeah, I saw a Cinnamon Toast Crunch spread, like stuff for breakfast. I was like, I'll just use cinnamon and sugar, thanks. I'll go the super poor route I went as a kid.
Lauren, here I go.
Let's do it with the big hands, thirsty hands.
At least they're not puny hands like a previous president of ours.
Yeah. So, what type of it looked like more like a brown ale or something.
It's a red ale with spices.
Oh. Okay.
So there's cinnamon there. This tastes more like a pumpkin beer. Tastes more like a fall. You know how they put those cinnamon and that nutmeg in?
And more, but
yes. It's not what I was expecting.
Okay.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. It's a little too spicy. It's all right. Maybe it'll get better when it warms up.
Give it a second. Give it a second assessment.
I'm gonna give it a little bit of hope, but it doesn't. I mean, there's all kinds of Cinnamon Toast Crunch here. Look at that.
Yeah.
It's not Cinnamon Toast Crunchy.
Okay.
It's more like pumpkin Cinnamon Toast Crunchy. I don't even know if it has pumpkin in it.
I mean, do you have Cinnamon Toast Crunch? Can you pull a Manny and just like pour some in there and make it better?
Yeah, okay. Pumpkin beers are already on the shelf, Greg. Yes, but I got
Yeah,
this
true.
beer.
Really?
I got
Yeah.
this beer a couple months ago.
This is what you were talking about the other day, though, right? Like
This
seasonal
creep. I don't think they intended to make it like a pumpkin beer. I'm
Accidental.
not getting that feel at all, but I'm getting it in a glass. It definitely has those spices. So then it's tricking my brain to think it's a pumpkin beer, but I'm pretty sure it's not.
That's how I feel about this banana thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Right.
There's a lot of like
Right.
like close different flavors happening today.
How about
Right.
we had another flavor to the mix. Key lime, Gosa.
Interesting,
Lord.
Douglas.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
Key lime pie is my favorite dessert. That and banana pudding are tied for first.
And Ghost is one of your favorite styles.
Yes, it is.
Right. So
I got this actually the
expectations
last.
are high here, right, Doug? Expectations.
I don't know. Most key lime Gosas I've had have not been great. But now I'm a little more hopeful for this. This I got in Maine when I was visiting up there. My wife was working. I was working remotely. And we met Carla Lauder and her husband at this brewery called Moderation Brewing in Brunswick, in Maine. So their other beers were quite good. So we're going to give this a try.
Look at that head, damn.
Yeah, nice aggressive pour.
Right. Head damn. No, I don't think my beer has anything to do with seasonal creep.
No.
No.
Yours?
Someone was talking about pumpkin beers are already on the shelf, and like I feel that like there shouldn't be an Oktoberfest out before, say, the 40 for 40 race for that. You know, because like that's September 10th, as many people may have heard, and you can't have an October beer before that. You know.
Hey, Doug?
So not bad. I got a lot of
not bad is not good either.
No, it's the thing is I've had them where they're, and I will say it's okay. Okay is about as low as I will go, unless it's, and then in the after show I'll talk shit about it. But no, this is pretty decent. It's not great, but it's definitely drinkable. It's tart, not sour, and you got a little bit, and it's made with Maine sea salt. So I don't know, is that supposed to taste more like a lobster sea salt? I don't know. Anyway, it's decent, drinkable. If it's really hot, this would be good. So, and only 4.8%, so pretty low.
I love how Doug's giving away all our secrets. You just say okay, Lauren, and then you talk trash about it.
Is that like a real estate thing where like it's a very quaint cottage? It's like, no, that means it's like small and tiny and like bad.
It's cozy is the word. It's cozy. Oh, so it's Doug, like 500 square feet.
Doug, what do they say on House Hunters? What are the backhanded compliments on House Hunters?
Well, cozy is definitely one of them when it's a place that's really fucking small. right? And quaint is another one, but it's more like cozy. Oh, it's a cozy cottage. And it's not a cottage, it's a fucking like efficiency apartment. And it's only $380,000. Like, God damn.
Right.
And the person's like I'm a stamp collector and my partner is a dog walker and our budget is $600,000. And it's like, ugh.
Your budget's $1 million a month, is that what you said?
So things are so crazy here.
Jack is giving away our secrets.
There you go. There's houses across the street that are like twice the size of mine. And back in 2007, when I got this place where I live now, those places, I looked them up, they were $750. Right? $750 for a 2-story, house. It's great. So we fast forward to now, and also across the street, there's a little 4-unit condo building. One of those units is now $700,000.
A condo unit.
A 1-bedroom condo across the street from me is $700,000.
There's your housing crisis in a nutshell. Like
people
literally,
in the chat. Can the people in the chat pitch me where you live? Because I would like to buy property, but I can't buy that.
You can buy some
I might need to go to a different state.
You can.
Lauren, are you a cold person? Lauren, are you a cold person? Meaning,
I don't know.
you be in the cold for like 5 months.
I have never practiced that in my life because I've lived in California, so I do not have the wardrobe or the life skills practice. But I am open-minded and capable.
You hire people, yeah, and you hire people to shovel your shit. Fuck it. Just hire people.
Yeah, because I'll be able to afford the housing. I'll have extra cash from affording the housing there versus here that I could just hire someone to help me manage winter.
See us, we have kids, so my kids do my lawn. I don't think Doug's kids do his shoveling. I could be wrong.
They could. I just prefer to mow it because I actually like good exercise for me.
It's like a thing.
But they're like half of them, or most of them, are like 1 foot out of the house, 1 foot in the house, basically. So like, whether it be college or not home all the time, so that can't count on them. That's why I said it that way. Actually, little inside ball there. Not saying that they're lazy, but Doug can say that. I won't. Anyway,
Roberto, did you have suggestions for me?
Do I for you? Yeah, if you want to live in Maryland, you could buy a house in my neighborhood out there.
You've neighborhoods out there. I mean,
so we got ourselves into a weird situation where, the reason we have this place where we are, and people always say, "Oh, you're so lucky that you were able to buy a house where you are," and I'm like, "Yeah, it was my mom. She died. She's
so lucky.
I'm so lucky." So my mom died, and we inherited the house, and we kept it, but we moved to DC, and we moved to Maryland, and we were there, and we'd been there for a long time. So we were renting, and then we found out the house we were renting was going to get sold for actually very sad purposes, because the owner had cancer and bad insurance and needed money. So really, yeah, tough stuff. So we started looking in our area, and the rents in DC have been going up, and we found out if we actually moved out to the Maryland suburbs, it was cheaper than renting. So we bought a house in the Maryland suburbs, and it's a nice little Cape Cod. It does get cold. It does get hot. As I think we talked about on Wednesday, you're just sort of damp all the time, right? Because either it's cold and you're wearing a bunch of clothes, and then you go into the city, and then you get on the train and they have the heat on, and now you're like, "Oh, I'm sweating," or it's humid and you like pull a shirt out of the drawer and it's already wet. So like basically living mid-Atlantic, you're just moist. Everything's moist.
Yeah, that's
I was going to say moist.
I don't know. Moist is a terrible sounding word, and it's not a way of existing, state of being that I'd like to describe myself as. Like, it doesn't seem appealing. However, again, being open-minded and affordability and things there are wants, needs, things are flexible.
So we bought a house out there because it was cheaper than renting, and but then a year later, because we were basically giving up on coming back to California. And then a year later, I got the job offer that brought us back to California.
Of course.
One thing I didn't know about real estate, maybe some of you more experienced people out there already knew. If you sell a house within a year of buying it, unless you renovated it and you're flipping it and you added a bunch of value to it, you're losing money. Because you've paid closing costs and you've paid all this stuff. So basically, if you're not keeping it, so we couldn't sell it when we left, so we kept it, and we've been renting it out, and it rents out at like a break-even, slight loss kind of thing. But hopefully, over time, since there's not going to be any Social Security, that will then help us out in the future.
Planning.
And I know people in today's real estate market on either coast are looking at me like I'm the most privileged, horrible, despicable landlord person in the world. But I promise it's all just because my mom was 54 and she died. And so that was actually not good. It was
you get you're in a good place because of shitty circumstances.
Yeah, and this I didn't even get to inherit millions of dollars like someone who actually I know a lot of people inherit nothing. still sound like an asshole, but no,
segue. So 40 for 40 race though. You're doing stuff for charity.
That's right. This is why, because I'm so privileged and awful that I have to try to give back. Right.
Okay. Not the smoothest segue, but can I ask some things about 40 for 40?
Yeah, no, please hit me.
Okay. So it's a race September 10th, but it's anywhere. So it can kind of happen at any time in theory, because time zones and whatever. And I guess you run it. Do you just film? Does someone film? Do you as proof of I did it?
Yeah. I mean, ideally, people will get their friend or their kid or their partner or some random person walking by to film them run this thing. And Aaron Govea, I want you in on this. I want to see Aaron run a 40. Or drink a 40, or drink a 40 and then run a 40.
Oh, okay. That I might
either
do.
direct before or after or both.
That's right. So the idea, as we get closer to the race, to help our wonderful production team of Doug and Greg and Lauren, I'm hoping that the runners will send us the schedule of when they plan to run locally,
so we can
right. And so hopefully, in my perfect ideal vision of this, people will start on the East Coast, and someone who's running at 12 o'clock on the East Coast will start the stream, and we can move across the country, right, until we get here to sort of the main event. The main event, brother. Yeah. Here, and because hopefully we'll have maybe 8 or 10 people running here locally. But yeah, you can run this at any time you want. And here's the thing, even if you can't film it, because I know not everyone sort of has that ability. Look, it's for charity. It's they're we'll take your word for it. This isn't
not the most rigid, serious.
Yeah, if you tell me you ran faster than me and I should send money to your charity, then that's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, so in theory there's some keep time, or maybe there's a video, but in theory you've timed it in some way. And yes. Action wise, if people want to run, they message you on Twitter or join the Facebook group.
They can join the Facebook group.
And if you are not a runner, skip, gallop, I don't know, crawl,
walk.
But if you don't want to physically go 40 yards, and that sounds terrible.
If you don't want to propel yourself forward,
yeah,
in some very quick motion,
and you would like to propel money to the cause, then there's the GoFundMe down here. Mm-hmm. So you can either propel yourself forward or throw money at people, which you can then also support and trash talk or whatever you want to do in comments. Yes. And if you can't do any of those, because sometimes we all have our own circumstances, but if you can't do any of those, then also share and find other people to do it. So there's a lot of ways that we can uplift this for good causes, and it's a fun, silly, not that serious but positive thing that we can focus on a little bit.
Absolutely. And that's the goal. And again, someone said, this is very gishy, right? And in my time working with that organization, I actually learned a lot about just making the things fun and not too serious and trying to do some good. And also not just asking people to donate, but asking people to just do what they can. And sometimes what they can do is share. And even that, that's super valuable. Even if you have 10 followers, that's 10 more people who saw it. And so all the amplification we can get is a good thing, even and someone said, can we make signs and take pictures of ourselves cheering for people? That would be amazing. Yes. That would be so cool if you took a picture of yourself and posted it and used the hashtag.
Yeah.
You could say I'm cheering for Doug. Right.
Yeah. If you're training, I would love to see old school movies, right? Training footage
Right.
like if you're like running around your block, you're like, I'm coming
Is it the
for
Rocky
you.
music?
Yeah. Run up
Right.
some stairs.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what helps you run a 40-yard dash faster. Like I don't know. I've been doing my personal trainer has me doing a minimum of 50 glute bridges every day this month. So, I've been doing that. I'm hoping that it makes like my glutes, maybe gives me a little more power as I
Yeah.
switch off. Right.
Yeah. Definitely.
But I also have I've been told that I look weird when I run, and then I watch myself run, and I kind of agree. So I have a weird stride anyway. My friend Jason, who's like a semi-professional sponsored runner guy, he's tried to help me with my stride, and it's a lot like my poor piano teacher. Like there's some things I can't master.
I would like to, I'm going to do like people who are capable and interested in like running and winning, also great. If you are not a runner, but you're like, want to like support and you're like, okay, I don't have money, but I could do like a run thing. I was like, I'm happy to help support a silly runner. Like who wants to run weird? Like, I'll like put it in your bio. I'll like go find the person who's going to commit to running weird and sending a video of that.
I'll tell you what I'll do. If I win, if I place, right?
Great.
I will give half of whatever I get to the person with the most creative run.
Yes, that's awesome.
Okay. So I'm gonna try to get a top 3 spot. And if you're out there, okay, and you want to do like a creative run, you want to do a Phoebe run or like a Ministry of Silly Walks run, something like that, like
I would be
have to stream it so we can see it.
Yeah, we need proof of that one.
And then if I get top 3, I will send half of what I win to your charity.
That's amazing. Also, I would love to see so many videos of like the first thing that I thought, I was just like, I can't even imagine how dizzy someone would be if they just like somersaulted 40 yards. I also have no idea how long that would take, but I was like, that'd be great. I'd watch that.
Okay, here's what we do. We get Aaron Govea's family to carry Aaron on his Peloton 40 yards.
As he's pedaling?
As he's pedaling. Right, exactly.
So it's like it's a run-ish.
Right. Like that would be, I
was like, or like even if you get them on casters, but then you have to get pushed.
Someone has to be running.
Yeah.
Moist
I think that's fair.
cash. I like that. Yes. Aaron, hit me with the moist cash. Like put it deep in there like you're smuggling drugs, like you're a drug mule.
I mean,
is that like a bra tuck? Is that like a bra tuck?
But in your butt crack.
That's a different. Those are different.
Bra tucks?
Worse. I think
it's worse.
I don't think I ever put money in someone's bra or accepted money out of someone's bra. But I will take Aaron's Ramunda cash. I will.
I feel offended that you would take that, but not bra money.
Oh no, I'm not saying I wouldn't take bra money. I'm saying
he just hasn't. Right.
I don't know. Like maybe my grandmother, when she sent me to get smokes, right? Maybe she I don't remember. I can't pinpoint a time when anyone has taken money out of their bra and
specifically handed it. Okay.
Yes. It may have been there at some point. Maybe I turned around. I don't know. But I will absolutely Aaron, whatever, you put the money wherever you want. And if it's going to a good cause, I'll take it. But you said hand to me, which implies that you're jumping on a bike and riding out here before September 10th.
Yeah. You said hand.
Then you could take the moist cash and hang it up like you're like a counterfeiter in your drain. Like you're trying money. Have it hanging on your front window and somebody calls the cops on you. It'd be great.
Right. Shout out to MJ. Hope she gets well soon.
Yep.
Tell her we send her well wishes. She was she's been a guest here, so we wish her the best, of course.
Yeah.
And do we wish our Boston fan the best though? Aaron, Doug, Here's your setup.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Listen. We can't stoop to the Bostonian level. We have to support them. We have to be.
No. Listen, we can support MJ over here and mock Aaron over here, right? I mean, the two different.
Everybody's their own individual.
Right.
Even when you're even when you're in a throuple, you're still a person.
Yeah, everyone.
Right. Okay.
Inclusive.
I'm just saying, I'm supporting MJ, so that's all. I don't know if I can support the Boston fan. Is what I'm saying.
I'm saying, shout out the Goveas. Buy their books, find them. You know, Raising Boys to Be Good Men, and
Yes.
the other one. The title is escaping me because
and Miscarriage.
Yeah, but what about the Patriots?
He hasn't written that one yet.
Oh shit! Ball money is the worst.
Why Tom Brady is the GOAT? Now I fucking hate him by Aaron Gouveia.
I know Moneyball.
Right.
Moneyball actually was great. I don't know about Ball Money though. Moneyball's good. I used to
Moneyball, not ball money.
If we're talking about sweaty money, which I think we are.
We're here now.
Yeah. So when I used to go run, not around my block, but like other places, right? I would leave my house and run somewhere and come back. My shorts didn't have pockets because you don't want to have whatever an iPhone in your pocket banging on your thigh. So with no pockets, what I would do is I would wear a sweatband, and I would put my house key on one side, and I put $5 down in the other one, so that halfway, like when I was deciding to turn around, I could get a Gatorade. So, bless the poor bodega workers who had to get my like arm sweat $5 bill.
Sweat and just like, here you go.
Yeah, my moist dollars.
But
could you blame the humidity?
No, because I was running like from here to the marina. Like, there's no humidity here.
I mean, that's right. I don't know if it was here or there.
No, it was here. This was here.
Okay.
No humidity here. No, not a thing.
That is, I guess, a bonus of somewhere else. You're like, I'm not sweaty. It's just humid.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
And I would suggest that arm sweat is above ball sweat.
I mean, physically, literally, absolutely.
I'm going to give you one. I'm going to give you one that's low key gross, and it's because I didn't wear wristbands or anything like that. Socks. If you stuck it in your socks because you didn't have a wallet or pockets or anything, and you stick it in your socks, that shit stinks and gets wet super easy. And even if it's not like going down into your feet, just like you tuck it in by your ankle, it's still super freaking gross.
Yeah, that's pretty gross. A lot of referees. So if you start refereeing rugby, player shorts don't always have pockets, but referee shorts do. And so a lot of people who, when they start reffing, they don't have pockets on their shorts. And so they keep like their pen and their red and yellow card and stuff in their sock. You don't want to get a yellow card as a player that's been in someone's sock. Like, it's a little rough, I got to say.
Right.
You know what? I have a not a rugby question, but because I don't watch rugby, but because I can't see it anywhere. But like, you see football coaches when they stick like their like play book or whatever, and they like stick it down like their back of their pants.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why the fuck are you sticking it back there? That's fucking gross. And then I've seen a couple where they just stick it down the front, and it's like, and I'm like, blah, don't do that.
It's because it'll sit on the hump of your ass, dog.
At least they're usually laminated, so it's easy cleaning.
But then they put it right up in their face, so
right,
that people
to cover so you can't see.
So then, so then they're like, it's in their butt, and then they're like.
So why is that any different than someone who loves the smell of their own farts? We're really taking this to another.
We're tackling the important issues here tonight, okay? All right, this is
Lauren. You don't like the smell of your own farts?
This is news to me.
Okay, can I speak? So someone brought up the main salt, and the lobster, and then so it puts this whole thing puts me in mind of two things. One, does anyone out there? Do you guys know of any beer that is seasoned with Old Bay? because I feel like that's a thing
Yeah,
that should exist.
I've had one. I've had one from Flying Dog.
Okay. Oh yeah, Flying Dog. Yeah, they do the crab something. Does that have Old Bay in
Yeah,
it?
and it has Old Bay in the brew. Yeah.
Okay. And
Why?
also sometimes my farts smell like Old Bay, which is weird. I don't know why that is, but it does happen.
And do you like that smell?
Oh yeah, I love Old Bay. It's great.
Okay. So then you are one of these people that likes the smell of some of your own farts. Is what
So
I mean.
only the Old Bay ones, yeah. The other ones,
That's very specific.
Yeah.
That is a very specific. Okay, I don't want to talk about this, but I feel like I have so many questions that I really don't want to ask.
Yes.
Welcome to the jungle, Lauren. Welcome to the jungle.
Yes.
This is a real. I'm not sure. I have a real turmoil here. Like, okay, I.
Let's break it down, Lauren.
we
Come
had
on
a very
now.
frank look.
Let's break it
Not you and
down.
I, but as a group of us had a very frank discussion about sex and
This is true.
so we can talk about farts.
Which can okay. I feel like that also needs explanation later for those who are not in the know, because that's not a great segue, Berto.
I'm just saying we can talk about anything.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's not okay. So, like, have you scienced it? Like, is there a one-to-one cause? Have you tried to recreate this, or it just happens sometimes? You're like, oh,
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm fresh out of science labs to do that sort of testing.
I mean, it does. There it is.
They're the Old Bay summer.
That's
ale.
not the one I've had. That's not even the one I was
there was
thinking.
another
That's
one.
right. But no, like I haven't. I did notice after eating a grip of Old Bay wings that my poop smelled like Old Bay.
Mm.
But the farts I can't really always explain.
Can't place it. I mean, I don't. Okay,
Those wings sound good, not the.
Oh, Old Bay wings are tremendous.
I just wanted to make sure y'all understood what I was umming.
So it's
Yeah.
the wings
And that beer sounds horrible, by the way. That's just my opinion. The
I
beer
mean,
sounds
really,
horrible. The
Doug-
wings sound good. Berto's farts, no.
But Doug, you have had a Old Bay beer, and Roberto, you've had a different Old Bay beer. Were they good? Were they like okay?
They're okay. It was just something different. Like I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Old Bay seasoning. I haven't had that in a beer before, so I'm going to try it. It's not something I remember, and I'm usually pretty good at remembering beers I tried. So
Like, it
clearly,
wasn't
it didn't leave. It wasn't remarkable.
It wasn't memorable.
It's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
It's a lot like they did an Old Bay fillet of fish, and it was better than a regular fillet of fish, but it wasn't.
Like
Mind
anything earth shattering?
You know, they have Old Bay goldfish crackers. You can get some of those. I think honestly, you could get an Old Bay fillet of fish, some Old Bay wings, some Old Bay goldfish crackers, and some Old Bay beer, and start talking like you're from Balmer, and you'll be all
Is
set.
Old Bay the like savory version of Cinnamon Toast Crunch
It is.
infiltrating everything?
You know what? That's a great
Whoa.
way of explaining it.
Like they're just like it's everywhere.
It's the one thing
Like,
people
let's add this and this.
people might know about Maryland. I think that's it.
The one
Berto, do you know Irina? Lauren, do you know Irina? I've never seen Irina commenting
Irina is it's a familiar name. Yeah.
on our but she is tearing up the comments. I just want to shout out to her.
Yeah.
But she is killing it.
Love
Actually,
it.
welcome. I don't think I've ever seen you watch this before, so that's why I blame Berto.
Yeah, welcome.
Or
Yeah,
I'm glad
right.
to have you on here. And
It's not our
drop-
fault.
Hey,
I wish.
We're
Yes.
happy about that.
So
I wish I could take credit for her, but I can't.
I don't know Irina. Like we haven't met, but
Right.
we're in the Twitter world together. We're in the sphere, the milieu. But
okay.
yeah, right from Gish. So
All right. Well, cool. Welcome, Irina. You're killing it. Welcome back to heckle our next guest next week. It'd be amazing.
yeah,
You're not even heckling. You're just making great comments.
but yeah, this was my this was part of my like we're gonna bring a new audience to Brothers and Booze, and also like anyone who is from like the Gish world. This is a funny thing. Anyone who's from the Gish world, there's like a super high chance. Zach, you're killing me. There's a super high chance they've never heard my voice.
That's true. Because you
people might just be tuning in to be like, I've heard this guy sounds like a puppet, and I needed to confirm.
Oh, I have never thought that, but now I will. But yeah, that's because you do interpreting for. I don't know a lot about Gish, but I know a little bit because I asked a question and then things got retweeted and I got a lot of answers back. So I know a little bit. It sounds like a really cool scavenger hunt event that happens, but you interpret for them so you don't say anything.
Yeah, so for the most part, there was one panel, and this was one I actually, God, this was like, so okay, I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to tell you the long version because we have time. I became a sign language interpreter because I was like a frustrated actor. Okay. And I grew up in theater. I planned to major in theater, and it's like anything. It's like sports. It's like anything where like it's a pyramid, right? And the higher you go, the tougher it is, and the more talented people are. And I started to get up to a certain level, and I was like, well, like I'm funny. Like that's pretty much what I do. I can do physical comedy, and I'm a funny guy. And then I was like, well, that guy's funny. And he can like cry on demand, and he plays 3 instruments, and he can dance, and he can sing. I'm like, fucking. So I started looking around like, okay, I had to do like a real self-assessment. And it was like, what do I love about theater? I like being in front of people. And what it really came down to was I never wanted one job. I could never pick like the one job that I wanted to do. I wanted to do everything. And for me, acting was like, I get to pretend to be all these different things and see these little slices of life and sort of bring them forward. And then when I was in high school, I started to meet deaf people, and I started to meet interpreters through a rafting group called Inspiring Connections Outdoors. It used to be called Inner City Outings when I was a part of it, but that probably became a little, not too great of a connotation. So now it's Inspiring Connections Outdoors. And what they do, but their goal is they bring underprivileged kids out on wilderness trips. And so I was a volunteer rafting guide for them. And I didn't know when I joined that about half the group was deaf adults. And part of what we did is we brought the deaf kids from the School for the Deaf out on these rafting trips. Started meeting deaf people, started learning sign language, started learning what interpreters do. And I was like, wait, it's the same thing as acting, right? Like I have 2 people and I have to become them, and I get to see their lives and what they do, and like, see all these jobs that I would never have, right? So I get to be a teacher, right, in the morning, and a lawyer in the afternoon, and a doctor in the evening, or whatever it is, like, because this is what I'm doing. And it's been so fascinating to be in this business. And then the pandemic hit, I got laid off. We talked about that, right? And so one of my pandemic projects was something I always wanted to do. Is I started, it's not an interpreting agency. It's an independent network of it's a network of independent interpreters. It's called Bay Area Independent Interpreters. And the idea is we were facing AB 5, which is a California law that was aimed at the ride sharing business and trying to get more benefits and equity for people who are in the gig economy. And interpreters got swept up in that. And even before AB 5, interpreting agencies do a really good job at certain things, and they're a necessary part of our ecosystem in interpreting. But there's also a part of it where like you need to be able to have more control over your work. And any of you who are out there are freelancers probably understand what I'm talking about. And also there was an underserved segment of people, which was small businesses and nonprofits and places that have really intermittent interpreting needs. So like school districts, hospital systems, like universities have lots of ongoing needs. that one individual interpreter can't fill, right? And that's where an agency is great because they have a whole roster of interpreters and they can always find someone for you pretty much. And they're really good at that. But if Lauren, if you need an interpreter to meet with one client one time, right, for your nonprofit, you can't necessarily, and it's going to be on a Saturday evening, you can't necessarily afford to pay $200 an hour with a two-hour minimum, right? So what do people in that situation usually do? Once they get the sticker shock, is they go, "We couldn't find an interpreter, sorry," and that happens a lot. But I can't serve the hospital system and the university and the school district, but for less than $400 and still making the amount of money that I need to make to survive, I can help a nonprofit or small business by offering services directly, right? Because when the agency charges $400, I don't get $400, obviously, because they have rent and they have lights and they have a staff and they have, they have other things they need to pay for. I'm just me still, right? So whatever I charge the agency, I can charge you, right? Yeah. I'm still good. And now you've saved money. And now that person who wouldn't have had access has access. And that's the big thing, is being able to get access for people who wouldn't have had access. So that was my pandemic project, was to try to fill in these little gaps where people aren't getting access. Give me a second. I have that under control.
We're still in Act 1.
Yes, we're still in Act 1. And so I launched this new venture, this not an agency. And I, of course, the first thing you do is you tell all your friends, right? So I told all my friends, and you look at like the dad bloggers group, and there's people like, very few of them are full-time professional writers. Very many of them are people who blog and have other jobs. And there's events like Dad 2.0, which at some point will probably need accessibility. And so I started pitching to everybody, hey, I can get you interpreting. I can, here's my new thing. You need an interpreter, call me up. And at the same time, there was a deaf celebrity who told Charlie, who was involved sort of, with Charlie, and said, hey, you should get interpreters for your thing. And Charlie's like, yeah, okay, I know a guy. And that's how I got brought in to Gish, was, this whole thing. And I started this story with a whole other point, other than the fact that I'm trying to help people out by having inexpensive
panel. Nobody's heard your voice. You're a Muppet, but they heard you maybe.
Yes. The only panel that people have maybe heard my voice is they did this great thing. And this is why I got into this business, right? Was I just want to have cool experiences and like meet people and see fun things. And they did a panel with Stacey Abrams. It was like a get out the vote thing during the last election. And they had the whole cast of Supernatural and like the producers and like all kinds of people. I don't know who they all were. They had all these Supernatural people, and Stacey Abrams, who we all know, like, she's a huge nerd. She's a huge nerd. And she was a big fan of the show. So for me, like, I'm trying to like stay cool and be like, oh, I'm using Stacey. And then she was like, I'm trying to stay cool because I'm meeting, these actors from this show that I love. And they're trying to stay cool because they're like me, right? They're like, oh my God, you're amazing. You're the reason we're going to get the Senate, and all, like, wow. So Show Stern was on that panel. Shoshana Stern, who was on Supernatural, and she's doing a lot of other stuff. And actually right now, amazing. She's the showrunner for a show. Like, she's getting deaf people in the writer's room. She's getting deaf people into producing, like, her own success, the success of Coda, it's all sort of coming together, but she's actually developing shows now and bringing in deaf talent, which is amazing. But she was on this panel. And so when she was signing and I was interpreting into English on her behalf, I think that's the only time maybe that people have heard my voice, unless they like jumped on Charlie's Instagram while we were doing a live thing or something like that. But I think hopefully lots of Gishers are watching and like, hi, this is me, when I actually have my own ideas and I'm not just like bringing forth other people's words.
Also,
Doug, I know you wanted to see it. Have you seen Coda yet?
No, I have not. That, and
okay.
I also, there's another one I wanted to see that isn't specifically about death, but about somebody losing a hearing. It was called The Sound of Metal, which is a movie about a drummer who's losing his
Yeah.
hearing.
Heard
Can
of
I-
that.
Can I
Yeah,
give you my 6 degrees of separation from Sound of Metal?
Sure, I'd love to hear it.
Okay, so my former stepdad, who came back into our lives after my mom died because he realized that my kids had like no grandparents and whatever. Really, really great guy. Really has meant a lot to our family. Sent me an email the other day, 9 months ago, whatever it was, and he's like, "Have you seen Sound of Metal?" I said, "No, I haven't seen it." And he goes, "They filmed part of it on our property up near Sequoia National Park or whatever it is." So at some point, like later in the year, we're probably going to go camping on one of the film sets for Sound of Metal.
That's cool.
Cool. I want to show my third beer here real quick.
And
It's
then I got a third as well. So.
Doug, look at that can art.
I haven't.
Whoa, that's nifty.
Hostile Hybrid. It's a brown
There's a
ale.
lot happening on there.
Yeah, and it's a lot happening with the beer. It's a brown ale and barrel aged bourbon. It's really
Barrel
nice and smooth. 7%, Doug, not too crazy, but crazy enough. And yeah, I'm taking you off of camera there, Berto. And then I'm gonna put I didn't even have to take him off camera. Put him back on camera. And yeah, look at that.
First
Woo!
wardrobe change.
Oh, what is that?
Look
yeah,
at the
so-
shirt matching the hat.
Act 2.
Someone called for a
Yes!
costume change, so I'm going for it.
It's not real until a giant hand.
Grabs this hybrid.
And Doug, you have your second, and then we have another question from Roberto from the
Yeah.
gallery.
Yeah, actually, mine is my third because the first one was an NA. But
Yeah, and that's my second because I'm ignoring that second one.
yeah. So this is one of the places we stopped in New Hampshire was
It
Throwback.
didn't happen, Lauren. It didn't happen.
Yeah, so this is Throwback Brewings. So they make really nifty can art too. This Brewer's Whimsy is a series they made, which they just did a kind of an experimental thing they did. So this one is called Extra Special Boots. It's an ESB with pink boots hops. So that's interesting. ESBs are not something I find a lot of. So I was
No
gonna
one
grab
does.
it. And it's
No one does unless you're in London.
Yeah, and it's 6%, which is really high for an ESB, I think, because
On the high end, sure.
Yeah. so
Sure.
we're gonna give this a go.
It's an extra special bitter,
hmm
Doug.
And I
I
like
think
them.
I got that. I think I got it.
Look at that color, man. That is beautiful.
I want to hear Jessica Jones break down ESBs for us like she did with IPAs.
Yeah.
Well,
I
we-
would eat a
That was
lot of
great.
that.
Because so I was listening to that, and I used to work at a brew pub here in Berkeley called Pyramid Ale House. Some of you guys might be familiar with Pyramid, Thomas Kemper. But like it's Burception. It's an ESB, Zach. Burception. Burception is actually when you have too many Bertos all in one place.
you get a perception.
That's a perception. But like they told us those things, like she's like, oh, that story, like that's total fucking myth. Like, but that's like when I was waiting tables and stuff, like that's what we were told people because that's what they told us, you know? And so like I always wonder now. So ever since I'm like, Jesus, well, is the ESB story true? Like, are any of these stories, is the Porter story true? Like,
Right.
has everything I've been told, is this like American history? Is it all a lie?
Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we told Jessica Jones in post production that she needs to be on video more.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm working on it. I'm like, you need to do like, she would kill it on TikTok with like these short videos about,
Like
Berto said,
educational, whatever.
right? Like, tell us about an ESB in like a minute. And she would just be like,
Bam. Yeah.
Fascinating. Love it.
Do you ever had a long hammer ESB?
No.
oh, I know what that is though.
Is Longhammer, is that the brewery or is that like the
I think that's the brewery. I have to look up and make sure I've got the name right because I've had a couple of couple of
Yeah.
beers.
But what's your set, Burrow? You have
No,
another
it's not
beer?
Long
No?
Hammer. It's Red Hook. Sorry, Red Hook.
Red
Red
Hook.
Hook. Oh, okay. Red Hook ESP is yes.
Is like for a long time when I was going to say when I was a kid, I was in high school. Probably shouldn't say that, but when
You were
I
a
was,
kid.
like, Red Hook ESP, like I didn't know that they had any other style. Like that was just it. Like that's what I thought it was. Oh, it'd be so good. Just make sure to caption it.
Right. Berto, what's your next beverage?
My next one, so I'm trying to go like what they taught us in beer class when I was 21, when I started working at Pyramid. It'd go light to dark, or light or less hoppy to more hoppy, whatever. So this is another hoi polloi beer. This is the Supreme Fuckery Pale Ale.
What did you just say?
Supreme Fuckery Pale Ale. So when you have no distribution and you're not worried about trying to get into Safeway, you can name your beer shit like this.
Yeah. Wow.
I love that.
Hey.
And it's quite good. It's quite good. You can see it's got a nice little color there.
I wanted to make sure you weren't saying puckery.
No. There's actually a lot. I'm looking at the cans that I got, and what I do is like so during the pandemic they would like can on demand. You could go in and just like ask them, and then you'd carry them out. And they did delivery, and it was great. I used to send beer gifts to my friends. But now that they're like actually open, I don't think they're super into canning on demand. So I just go in, I say, "What do you got?" And a lot of times they'll have these 4 things. I'm like, "Great," because they come in these little 4 packs. I'm like, "Great, just give me one of each." And I walk. I don't even care what they are. But I noticed today that like I think 3 out of these 4 beers have some sort of curse word in the name.
I mean, it's a vibe.
It's a whole thing. Yeah,
It's a thing right now.
that's their deal.
Excellent. I got a question for you though, Berto.
Okay.
Or a comment that sounds like a question. It's Irina again. Berto, not to piggyback on inspiring stories, but you
Okay, yeah. So that was a good one. You can find this. I've tweeted out just like the short clip of it, and you can find it on YouTube if you look for the Gish YouTube channel. So Jewel was on, which of course, like whatever, like high school senior Berto was like, because Jewel. Oh my god, yeah. So Jewel was on, and she was like, "Hey, should I play some songs?" Right, and so she's playing some songs, and she's playing like a lot of like sort of new stuff or like deep cuts or whatever it was, and I'm interpreting them, right? And I know like the main Jewel songs, but like stuff that she's like, this is unreleased, or she's going for it. And one, it was very like strong and feminist, and it was good. It was a good song. And at the end, it's always weird when people reference the interpreter, right? Because now you're talking about yourself, but you don't get to answer or say it like, right? You just have to keep it straight and professional. And so Jewel goes, "Yeah, I hope you guys like that. I feel bad though. I made the sign language guy sign pussy about 15 times." Which of course, when she says that, then I have to sign it, right? And so that she's like, "Oh."
So that made it 16 times.
Yeah, that was 16 times. And
what is it? What is a sign for that, by the way?
So I'm not going to do it, and I'll tell you why. Because there's a lot of like hearing TikTokers and YouTubers and shit who don't know sign language very well, and they sort of fetishize the bad words. Like some woman who barely knows sign language got a whole book deal on like doing dirty signs. And it really pissed off the community, and rightly so. And so I'm actually not going to do it. What I will say is you can find the video if you want of me like actually interpreting, or you can ask a deaf person, like, or you can look it up, or like there's a lot of resources for that. But it's a funny story, but I also don't want to get into like the fetishization or the, look and laugh kind of aspect of hearing people in sign language.
Our friend has integrity.
it's a real problem that I think that robs things from the community, you know? And that was something I'll say, like early on when I was involved with Gish, and there was a lot of like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love watching Roberto. You know, it's so great. Where I was really uncomfortable with it because, you know, I'm there to provide access, and I'm glad that people enjoy it. And I'm glad that it's something that, you know, I've gotten messages and I've gotten tweets and people saying, you know, like I took a sign language class because it was so cool. I've seen you on the streams for a year, and you know, or people will ask me like, what's a good way to learn sign language? Where can I take a sign language class? And because it is fun, and I do enjoy the community, and I do enjoy sort of my place in it. But I always want us to remember that I'm only there because deaf people exist, and they need to participate too. And you know, you don't see them, right? You don't see them on the stream, but they're the reason I'm there. You know, without a deaf person saying you should have an interpreter, I wouldn't be there. And so I have a lot of fun and I enjoy it, and I've got some good stories from it, but I'm only there because deaf people put me there. You know, specific deaf people said you should get an interpreter, and I was the one who was fortunate enough to book the gig. You know, there's a lot of people who could be doing what I'm doing. And so, you know, let's have fun and let's chat and let's talk about it. But if you want to learn sign language, I can definitely refer you. There's a great organization out of Canada called Queer ASL, all deaf people, all queer, teaching ASL over Zoom. And you can take like a 6-week course.
Like a live thing.
Yeah, like real interactive, not just watching videos and not trying to learn it out of a book, but you can actually take a real class from deaf people who sign ASL. And you know, like they have a really great cause, they have a really great purpose for being, to support deaf queer people and queer people in general. And so like I definitely like shout out to Queer ASL. And I didn't know about them actually. Charlie found them. They did
that Charlie guy. He does good. I mean, I like to give Charlie a good-natured ribbing, but I have to say, like, he does so much good for the world. He really he's so passionate about making sure that all of his business ventures and everything that he does like is a net positive, right? Like again, and this is what I said about it, you know, I now forget which conversation this was. I think I was talking to some people at work, but like obviously I have to make money, right? Like I have to make money. I have expenses. I have a family. Money's never been like my primary motivation for doing things. And anytime when it didn't go well. And Charlie, I see the same thing. Like he's got to make money. He's got a family. Like we all have to make money in this world somehow. But Charlie always makes sure that the thing that he's doing in the world, whatever it is that he's doing as a business, is also like benefiting other people. And that's so important. So as much as I, you know, like to go back and forth with him on trivial things and nonsense, like I have to like make sure I say he's a fucking solid dude.
Yeah, I want to talk just a bit about the ASL thing because as someone who is hearing impaired, my hearing is not getting better, and it's not at all. And I have hearing aids, but my hearing aids are like 8 years old, and the problem is they haven't been fine-tuned. It's hard to find folks that will fine-tune them. And the thing is, hearing aids are fucking expensive. And I mean, really, even base units that are geared towards your hearing deficit. If you're getting stuff like Miracle, yeah, that's not terribly expensive, but that's just a general blanket. It's like getting readers at a CVS. So like you're talking, I think my hearing aids 8 years ago were like, I think $5,000 or $6,000 for the pair, and that's not near. That would be the base model of the cheapest thing you could get now, and it is not covered under any insurance. Insurance doesn't cover any of it.
Nope.
That is upsetting.
Well, if you think about the idea of like, I have glasses, I have vision care. It sucks, but it's something. But like hearing aid, that shit's super cost intensive. And you notice that there's a lot of people that need them that can't afford them. So they wait until a lot of times you can get them when you're on Medicaid, like Medicaid.
Medicaid, Medicare, yeah.
Yeah,
But
you can, or Medicare, like when you're old enough to get them is what I mean. Like when you're beyond retirement age, you might be able to get them then, but even then you don't get them like covered. We'll pay for half of them, but still cost prohibitive for a whole bunch of people.
well, and now think about this, Doug. Imagine being born deaf to hearing parents, because most deaf kids are born to hearing parents, and the doctor convinces your parents you got to get a cochlear implant. Okay,
and those are removable wax.
But now the receiver, that they put a piece of metal in your head so that the receiver can stick on there with a magnet. Imagine like you're 7 and now you're responsible for this like $5,000, $6,000, $10,000 piece of equipment. My mom freaked out when I lost my retainer. Like I can't imagine like being a kid responsible for a CI receiver. And now like that thing's not going to last until you're 80.
No,
so you're going to have to buy them. I don't know if those are covered by insurance, but I hope that they are. I remember one time when I was at Gallaudet, which people who don't know, Gallaudet is the world's only liberal arts university. So I was at Gallaudet. I was in the locker room one day after like gym class or whatever I was doing there, and this other student walks in and he's like panicked and he's looking around and he's picking everything up, and I'm like, what's wrong, man? He's like, my CI, I can't find it. He lost his receiver for his cochlear implant. And he's on. So I'm now like, I'm trying to help him look, and like, we're tearing the place apart. And finally he looks over and he points and he starts laughing. And I was like, what? It's a magnet. He had stuck it on the side of the bank of metal lockers. Like he had just taken it off and stuck it on the side and gotten dressed and left.
Well, I'm going to say that
panic in his face. He's like, these are expensive. And I'm like, yeah, dude, I know.
I love the smart move where you're like, I know I put this in a safe place somewhere.
Then you forgot.
That is my hearing aid.
Oh.
And this little fucking plastic and bits, this was $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah.
And I don't know, Roberto, if you know Jay Parrish Lewis is part of the Dad Bloggers group, and he's deaf and he has a CI, but his CI doesn't work and he can't afford to get another one. So, and it's just like, what do you do? That shit's expensive. It's really fucking expensive. And, you know, I mean, we've talked on the show many times about other things with the idea of just how terrible health insurance is in this country. And this is an area where it is completely ignored. You can get dental insurance, you get vision insurance, you can get regular insurance, but anything covering your ears, that's just like, it's almost like it's not even as touted as mental health help is. And mental health is wildly underserved, but hearing health is almost forgotten.
Well, and that's usually because it's probably like the least amount of people. It's like the least amount of people get least served. Almost.
But everyone gets old. Like, well, not
everyone.
Right. Everyone's hearing gets affected.
These are people who didn't get old, but you know, on a normal trajectory, everyone gets old and loses their hearing. Like you think it would just be a normal thing to cover. Yeah. Charlie! I hope Charlie heard all the nice things I said about him.
He's gonna have to rewind.
Yeah, it happened. We covered
Charlie. We had a
Charlie he's gonna see my like WWF thing.
Arena's like, oh no,
turn it off and be pissed off. You know, and I wish I could. Charlie, can I send Greg the video of you going on your grammar rant? Because I feel like that would be fun.
Charlie, look away.
Before we get to the chart thing, I just want to make one more point. Was the idea that I think that at some point I have to learn ASL because I think I'm going to get to a point where it's going to be my primary mode of communication. I just think that my left ear is so bad. It's not completely deaf, but like When I had it assessed years ago when I was young, it was at 25% of normal hearing, and it's worse. And my problem is I have to go get hearing aids. Either if I can get them updated, great. Probably not going to be able to happen, which means I'm going to probably get new ones. And
Wow.
I can probably afford to do it, but it's not an easy thing to pull off. So yeah, and it's just something where it's, my wife and I have talked many times about doing ASL stuff, and your queer ASL thing is exactly the kind of thing. It's an organization I'd like to support. So the thing I probably need at some point. I'm probably never going to be completely deaf. That's not going to be what it is, but I will be pretty diminished by the time. I mean, I'm 50 now. And you see this, if I didn't have this, like these headphones, and I have them at full volume so I could hear everything, I would miss a lot. And I know that. So it's like, and the amount of shit I miss around my house is I think it's a lot more than I realize. And I know it's a lot. So
I will say this. So like, depending on where you live, if you have a halfway decent community college program near you and you can take 2 evenings a week to do that, I suggest that as a first option. I know not everybody can do that. That's how I learned at first. I took 5 semesters of ASL at my local community college. I was lucky. They wrote the most popular curriculum in the country. So I got to learn from some very good people. There we go.
Sorry.
That I think is even better than like the 6-week classes online, because also they'll help you get like deaf people in your community that you can talk to and actually practice with, and it's a little bit more of like a holistic approach to learning the language, which is really important.
Any language, you need to be a little bit immersed, right?
Yeah, and like the biggest compliment that I've ever gotten from deaf people is when they look at me sign and they go, "You learned from deaf people, didn't you?" Because they can tell. Like you have all of us hearing people who learn as a second language, we all have an accent, right? And just like you can kind of pick out an accent, like you're from Muskogee, like deaf people can pick out the accent of how you learn sign language. And so like every once in a while I get mistaken for a coda, which was a huge compliment. Here's a quick Gallaudet story. I'm in my first semester of grad school at Gallaudet, and I sit down like end of the semester with my advisor, deaf guy. And I'm like, "So how's it going? How am I doing?" And he goes, "You're doing great. This is good. This is good. This is good. But I have a question." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay." And this whole conversation's happening in sign language. I'm telling it to you. And he goes, "Your classmates are all women." I'm like, "Yeah, like that." And most of your classmates have been women this whole time. Well, yeah, that's right. Your sign language teachers, women? I'm like, yeah, pretty much all women. What's the deal? And he goes, "Well, how do I say this? You sign like a girl."
What does that even mean?
And it's true. So if you think about even like in any language, there are ways of speaking and there's ways of communicating that are coded more feminine and ways that are coded more masculine, right? And Deborah Tannen made an entire career out of this for North American English speakers, white middle-class North American English speakers. But there's absolutely like, if you think about it, and if you read any Tannen, it's clear. I'm like, okay, what do I do about that? And he goes, "Well, I have some videos you can watch of like deaf men signing. You can sort of pick up what you can from that. But really what I want you to do is just go hang out with some deaf guys on campus. Just go hang out with some deaf guys." So yes, I see your hand like I do when I was teaching. I see you. I'll get to you, Lauren. Thank you.
Okay.
And so I started over winter break. I went to play pickup basketball at the gym at Gallaudet. And the biggest compliment I got was not about basketball. It was there's how pickup works. You got the 5 guys waiting and the 10 guys on the court. And when the losers come off, everyone, the next 5 guys are supposed to go on. Well, I guess for some reason there were like 6 of us or something, and they didn't want me to come on. I'm like, I've been waiting. And the captain of the Gallaudet football team looks at me and tells the other person and goes, "Take it easy on him. He's a foreign deaf guy. He's new to the country." And I was like, I've been upgraded from signs like a girl hearing person to foreign deaf guy, which like that's a step up for sure. Like at least I was like clocked as being someone new to the language, but not completely outside the culture. So I felt like that was like a super proud moment for me.
I love that.
Okay, Lauren, what's your question?
First of all, super adorable. I love it. Second, okay. I'm going to ask it and then also correct me if I'm using language that is not the correct thing because I'm a super foreigner in this country of signing. So if you sign like a girl, like is it like words that get used or in the how you sign a certain sign? Like what is that accent? Like what does that even look like? Or
it's both, right? It's both. So I'll try to think of like some English examples. So upspeak. Upspeak, not all women do that, but it is definitely coded feminine because almost no men do it. When you're saying everything like it's a question, right? So if you were to talk like this all the time, you would sound like
feminine.
a 12-year-old girl, maybe. Like,
and
but
there's
you would
ways
never
that
sound
happens.
like any boy you've talked to because boys don't talk like this.
You just made Greg bow out. That was great.
Like, I can't. I'm out.
So obviously, I'm exaggerating for effect,
Totally.
but that's something that's a very feminine coded way of speaking.
Sure.
Right. Or if you want to talk about like how things are said, like I don't know if you remember, like I don't know, 10 years ago, there was like a huge like linguistics and speech path issue about girls intentionally using vocal fry.
I have heard of, okay, this might be one of those like glass shattering moments because I remember hearing about this and I was one of the few people who did not like look into it and everyone's like, don't, because then you won't be able to unhear it. And I still am not 100% sure what that means.
And I can like try to do it, but like there were like actresses, especially young actresses, and they would kind of have this like they would say like it was like there was like a fuzziness to their voice when they would say certain things, and it was considered like very cute. And then so then of course people are like watching this, and then they're going to imitate it, and then it spreads, right? It's actually kind of bad for your vocal cords. And but there was no like consternation about teenage boys using vocal fry because again it's a feminine coded way.
So like in sign language, what does the accent sound like? How does that?
There's some like a sign for recently. There's right like it's something that recently happened. Mm-hmm. There's basically two signs. So and it comes from a sign from before, like in the past, right? And there's like before like hundreds of years ago, right? Okay. And that's like, so there's two ways of showing time in ASL, and you have a future and a past, or you have a past and a future and a present, right? So there's sort of two timelines. So something that's really recent can be signed like this, really recent, or like this, really recent. This is the more feminine coded sign. Huh. But this is the one that I learned.
Right. Interesting. Okay.
So there are signs like that, or there's a sign for menstruation, right? There's a sign for menstruation, and there's a sign for menstruation that typically only deaf women use, which is, right? Because like you're trying to ask somebody for if they have a tampon, so you can go, you're like, right? And it's just a little, but I learned all these because most interpreters are women. Most teachers, as we know, teaching is considered a female profession. So for me, as a young cishet dude learning sign language, 95% of my classmates are girls, 99% of my teachers are women. So I'm learning and I'm copying them, how they sign, how they move their hands. And we also know that like just embodiment is different for men and women in America, right? And that embodiment carries over to how you sign. And so if you think about ways of like moving your hands, moving your body, posture that are more feminine, I adopted all those into my sign language.
That's fascinating.
It was fascinating for me too, because I was like, I at that point in my language development had no idea.
Totally.
you know, and it's hard, like in a forum like this where it's like a general audience, it's really like it feels dangerous to say like men sort of do this, women sort of do that. But in linguistics, which is my background, we're really talking about probabilities, right? There's a high chance that women do this. It doesn't mean all women do it. And there's a high chance men do this. It doesn't mean all men do it. But when we're looking at a sample of 100,000 men and 100,000 women, we're going to find that women do this thing more of the time than men do, right? And so when we talk about things that are like male coded or female coded ways of expressing language, that's really what we're talking about. It's not like a stark line.
That's so cool and interesting.
Switched at birth. You ever see that one, Berta?
You know, I never saw it because I've only intermittently had cable in my life. And so I haven't seen that one. I think Show Stern was on that one. Was Show Stern on that one? Switched at birth?
They all are. Yeah. I don't know, but that's something I might have to check out. Like I said, I'd be maybe a bit dramatic saying that ASL might be my primary at some point, but it probably will be something that features into my daily.
Well, so my mom, before my mom died, she was taking ASL classes at the same community college where I took my ASL classes. And she told me that it was because, you know, when we had family gatherings, she would see her mother, my grandmother, just sort of sitting in the corner a little bit tuned out. And what happens for people who are interested and maybe don't know, or maybe you're not interested, I'm going to say it anyway. When you lose your hearing due to age, it's typically you lose the higher frequencies. And the higher frequencies are where the consonants are. And the consonants are what break up the vowels so that you actually know what's being said. If you didn't have those high frequency consonants, everything sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. Think about just all vowels.
Anything high pitched or in a female voice, because they're softer and they're higher pitched, tend to be anyway. Again, not all.
Right.
Those are awful for me. And accents, French accents. And I will say French accents are the worst because they run everything together when they talk, even in English. Everything is blah, 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 and I can't differentiate it. And it's weird. And another one is, I'm going to say, folks, like not all Middle Eastern accents or even, but like Indian accents, especially because some of them, when like I work in IT, so I work with a lot of folks of that heritage. And when they are trying to express a point, it's usually very fast. And the speed is actually what trips me up because of running everything together.
So now, Doug, imagine that you're not in IT, okay? And you have to interpret that person talking about a topic you don't really know very well. And now welcome into the early part of my career. That was.
Wow.
But yeah, so my mom was taking sign language because she saw that her mom, my grandmother, was sort of tuned out at these family functions. And she was like, well, look, if I learn ASL, at least I'll be able to talk to you. You know, sexism was, I mean, yeah, sexism and misogyny exists in any language, but I think also, like, I do want to make a point here, and I see what you're saying, JHG, my man, who is signed up for the 40 for 40 race. That understanding that men and women have different socialized ways of communicating and what those mean is not sexism and misogyny for me. I think, and again, like I grew up as a student reading a lot of Deborah Tannen. If you can recognize the patterns and recognize what they mean for the speaker, it actually really can help your communication with people. And so I'll go off on a little tangent, a couple of Tannen things. She has a couple of books that I've read, Talking from 9 to 5, Men and Women at Work. That's Not What I Said, which is more men and women in relationships. And then she has one about mothers and daughters. And she has more, like lots and lots more. But those are sort of the ones that I read as a student. But like understanding that, again, we're talking about things that are socialized. We're talking about probabilities. So bear with me. But a lot of the time, when a woman would say something like, would ask a question, hey, are you hungry? Right? A man's going to just say like yes or no. a lot of time what that really means for her is, I'm hungry. Would you please like acknowledge that other people may be hungry and maybe we'll go get something? But guys are like, no, I'm good. And then he feels like he's answered the question and she feels like shut down, right? Or if you look at management styles, and this has to do with power dynamics as well as the men and women thing, but there's two parts of her book that I remember. One was a pilot co-pilot who were in a plane crash, and the co-pilot kept asking the pilot on the, you get on the black box recording, hey, the wings look a little icy. Are the wings icy? Do you think and the pilot's like, it's fine. And the co-pilot didn't feel empowered to contradict that, even though he knew they were about to crash and die. And they did. Yay. And another one, she talked about a series of people that she interviewed and talked to, but that because women are socialized to be non-confrontational, especially within their own circles, right? You're not directly confrontational, right? There's these politeness strategies. And so this woman who like ran a radio station or something had men who worked for her, and she would give them what she felt like were directions, but she would phrase them as questions because that's polite. Even though she felt the power structure obviously means I am telling you to do this. Well, because they're men and they didn't necessarily see her as an authority figure, despite whatever her title was, they thought those were suggestions, so they didn't do them. And that causes a conflict, right? Because your communication styles are different, right? Men are like, why don't you just tell me what you mean? But if a woman is too direct, then she's a bitch, right? So
Correct.
It's understanding the probabilities and the communication styles is less about like being like men are this and women are that. And it's more, for me, at least as an interpreter and someone who has to try to coax meaning out of things and present that in a way that the other party understands when they're from a totally different language and culture. Not totally different. They are people who grew up in North America, literate in English, same media, whatever. Point is, different language and culture. It's about like understanding the difference between what's exactly said and what that might mean for the person, because those are the same. Yes, and it's the same thing. Like I'll bring it back to acting. Right, when you're given a script, you're not just saying those words. You need to know, what does the person want from this interaction? Why are they here? Why are they saying it this way? What happened before? Like, there's a whole what's your motivation? But it's a cliche, but it's very real. Right? And that's what makes the scene come alive. As an interpreter, you have to know all of those things about people and their communication styles and why are they here and what's the power dynamic and how do they get what they want, because what they say may not be exactly what they mean. And if you just say it the same way, it may not be taken in the other culture as getting to the goal that the person who expressed it wanted. And so your part of what you do as an interpreter is you get the person to their goal. Right? There's a cultural exchange. You're mediating culture as well as language. And so understanding how a woman might say something, not because she can't just say it directly or whatever. There's no judgment. There's just a probability and a socialization of how that might be said. Has helped me, and maybe my wife will disagree, has helped me in my relationships with women, especially women who I work with, and I hope women who I have relationships with, to try to be more understanding and to try to understand a little bit more. It doesn't mean I am any good at it still, but at least I'm getting the little surface level, getting past the surface and trying to get a little more effort into it.
There's the hopeful intention and hoping there's impact, but like intention also matters. Impact matters more, but like intention absolutely matters. So this is super interesting. So many things that I had not considered at this level.
He's put it on a Jessica Jones type clinic.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I have so many things that I need to like learn about and add. Like we need a whole.
Oh yeah,
right,
we want to talk about cultural communication or language or communication styles or linguistics. Like that's like that's where all my graduate work is. And so,
I think what you were talking to, and from what I've experienced in just exploring communication styles between me and like my kids, there's a guess culture and there's an ask culture. And the ask culture is just very direct. I'm asking you this. And there's guest culture. And I grew up in guest culture. So there's a lot of nuance in guest culture that there is not an ask culture. So there's some of my kids are very direct.
And I've had this conversation.
And it feels because I'm a guest culture, it feels super rude. And it's not. They're just get me to what I need to know. And then I'm like, so I will say something like, hey man, the trash is a bit full. I'm not telling them to do anything.
But instead of calling it guest culture, it's high context, low context.
Okay. Explain that, please.
In a culture with high context, you discern that meaning. Right?
Like
in a culture with low
context,
situation, you have to explain everything. And I've had this conversation, Doug, and maybe you've tried this. I've actually explicitly had this conversation with my kids, a couple times a year when I get frustrated, and I'm like, remember, guys, I am Asian. Okay, I grew up a certain way. I might sound like I'm suggesting things to you, but please know that every one of these things is a command. And I don't want to just be telling you go do this and go do that. But instead, I'm going to use politeness strategies, and I'm going to say things like the trash is full. And that's another one of Tannen's big examples is someone saying, is it chilly? What it means is close the window. It's not a question. We're not asking for an opinion. We're not asking. It's I would like you to close the window. And they're not being weird about it. They're being polite. Yes. But because I have the background I have, I can understand my weird politeness strategies, and then at times tell my kids oh no, this is actually in order. This is not.
I'm telling you to do this, even though I'm not telling you this because I'm not trying to be a dickhead.
Right. Hey, have you gotten the poop out of the yard? No.
Oh,
don't go play video games.
Please talk about the thing, Max.
Please talk about what Max is talking, because that's actually a big part of this.
Oh, the direct, what is explicitly said versus implied.
That's where I run into, and then I go, fine, I'll do it myself. And then that makes everybody feel well, why the fuck is he being an asshole about it? I'm like, because to me, I said, it's full. Can somebody please take care of it? Instead of just saying, hey, it's full. Can you please take the thing out? Because I grew up in an area where it was implication was a command. Mm-hmm. And I didn't.
Are you Asian, Doug?
No, I grew up in the middle of PA Dutch rural Pennsylvania, which seems like that should be the case. You think Germans are pretty direct, but apparently not. So so it's I have to adjust my communication style to make sure that I'm. And there's a bit to it. It's not just being direct, hey, take care of this. Like I said, there's a politeness model that you can incorporate into that, which is without being a dick. Hey, can you please take care of this? And I'm trying to be better about that. It is a rough road to go because I'm 50 fucking years old and my brain has been doing this for 50 years. But what Max is saying is actually, and one of the weird little avenues I go on in TikTok is learning about people who are autistic and ADHD and all these things that I don't experience that people in my family do. And I don't know it because to me, it seems well, that's kind of outlandish to think that, but it's not. That's just how their processing works. Mm-hmm. And I really have to put the brakes on sometimes because sometimes I just get flustered and be frustrated and it's bullshit. And what Max is talking about, some of these are very real things. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm such an asshole.
No, but what Irena
wow.
said also,
and anxiety is another bit to it too.
Because this is the weird thing. I put out the implications, but I'm really bad at getting them. I'm really bad at reading other people,
catching it from.
I'm good at catching notes.
That's not. I mean, we're all individuals and humans, but that is not a great combo.
No, it's not good. It's not good. And Lauren, we talked a little bit about the anxiety thing the other day where like, yeah, I will. Like, if I get an email or I get it, like, I'm like, oh my God, like, what did that really mean? Right? Like, what did they say versus what do they really mean? And then I'm trying to like break it
I don't
down
do that shit.
because then
I
I'm
don't
trying
do
to
that
figure
shit.
out the implications, right? Or like, did I answer that question right? Was that question actually asking for something else? Like, you know, but then when I try to be business-like, sometimes I'll get feedback that like, no, your email is very terse. And I'm like, I'm sorry, I was trying to I don't want to waste your time. Because I don't know if you guys, but you can ask me one thing. I might talk for 15 minutes and you don't want that in an email. You know?
I get that.
So I'm trying to like cut it down and then I'm a bad person. I don't know. It's all very, it's tough. Communication's tough.
Goodness.
It's hard.
Irina, oh my God, that's so me.
But I also do
that's
that.
Not me. That's not me. That's not
That
me
is
at all.
so
No,
me.
see,
Fucking
but
call me.
No, I would love.
Give me that on this shit. Give me the
I would
call.
love
And I know what
people
you're
to
saying.
call. People can call me. I would love people to call me and just work it out real quick. I don't want to have to call anyone else because I don't know how they're going to receive the call, right? So I had a tweet the other day that people are still sort of figuring out and liking, but
just started with "you're not in trouble."
Manage expectations.
But like, I'm like, I know like this issue can be resolved quicker and with less confusion if I make a phone call.
Right.
But I don't want to make the phone call. Like, do not make me call you. And that's why Lauren is now volunteering to start a business.
I was like, not volunteer. I was like, I will take pay.
That's right. Start a business. Volunteering to start the business.
Yes, I am interested.
Where she will make the call. She will, you give her the specifics and then she'll make
I'm very pleasant. Okay, so here's the related. I am Asian and female. And when I started my professional career in design, architecture, project management stuff. And as a young female in that realm, doing like project management with like general construction people and all of that stuff, I was too nice. And I was like, hey, do you think you could? And my boss was like, you need to say need. Like, I need this from you. And I was like, I did not even think about the word. This is just what's coming out of my mouth. So back to this. I am great on the phone now. I can be very clear and kind. I just need the information. And I am happy. I love talking to people. So I am find me here. I will make phone calls for you. Happy to do it and help out a fellow human who's not interested. I'm happy to talk to people on the phone. I'm very kind to people at like toll booths, customer service. We get things done. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I don't like talking to people about things where I have to tell them they're wrong. Because here's the other thing. Greg, Lauren, maybe you can empathize with this. And I'll just distill it down. White people can say no to other white people, and it probably, I imagine, it goes okay. No one wants no one wants like the Latino guy telling them no, especially not especially like middle-aged white women are not interested in having me say like, oh no, you're wrong, and I'm not doing the thing you want, because I'm the boss at work, and I have to tell people like no. I hate it. It's so but they don't. And I feel like, I don't know for sure, but I feel like when it's other like white ladies saying it, maybe they're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. But when it's me, it's like,
thanks for that.
Yeah, I sometimes feel as the black guy in the group that no one wants to ever hear me say no to them. Ever, Roberto. Ever. And this is something I had to get over. And it's not just white people. It's black women, black men. It's all of y'all. Y'all scare me. So, Berto, what it has made me do in a backwards type way is not be more polite. It's to be more forward. And that is not, I don't think, the solution to anything. But it makes me feel better at the end of the day, Roberto, because I know I communicated to you. Now, whether you took it or not this is why I was saying I was an asshole, because like I have grown to just not care because I feel I don't have another out. Because if I go the whole suggestion way, y'all won't listen. And if I go the whole direct way, y'all gonna be offended. So I'll just go the direct way and y'all will be offended, but at least the shit will somehow, maybe, possibly get done. It's not ever going to get done by me saying, hey, it's a little bit cold.
Right.
That window's open.
And anyone else?
It's
cold?
never
No?
going to stop. It's never. Or as opposed to, hey, can you just pull that window down for me just a crack? And then I get a look, and then they do it. So I'm an asshole.
So it's funny because I feel you. I feel you. And it's funny because this came up the other day when we were hanging out at the game. And it's funny because like I forget the impression, like I forget the impression people get of me, like when they first meet me, especially if it's like out somewhere. And you said this, and Creed said this, and I think probably Charlie said this. It was like, I thought Berto was just insulting and horrible for the first like 10 minutes because he came in and said some wild thing like upon introduction.
Right.
And
I was like, who is this cat?
Mike Keenan is
literally.
Yeah.
Who is this motherfucker?
You got a real
like, is what I thought in my head.
Situation.
Literally. Then I'm like, then after, like, I think what happened was, I think you even remember, we were at that too. And like, you just said some, like, it wasn't weird, but like, you were just very direct. And like, it seemed like you were a good guy. So then it was like, double up on this. Like, don't just take that as your first. Like, I had to literally tell myself, oh, here's this guy again. Don't take it. Give him another chance. Like, almost in my head. But Roberto, I'm generally like that. I tell Doug, I hate everyone that's close to me. I hated you the first time I saw you.
Me.
I hated you. Doug, you're probably the exception because I met you in a different way.
No, you said specifically, like, man, I wasn't, I think it was more like you weren't really sure of me. And hey, that's a compliment. I'll take that.
Right. But like, and Lauren, you might be like the exception, but generally speaking, I'm telling you, I hated you the first time I met you. And all y'all see is, hey, what's going on? And I'm like, who is this motherfucker? Who's that motherfucker?
That's fascinating to me that you're like, I'm gonna be kind, but also like, what the hell is going on? Because I feel like I'm generally generally kind human. Just that's my mode of operations. And I don't think we had any bad interaction, but I would get drive-bys by Greg at Dad 2, just me talking to someone else and him being like, she's trouble. And like, I'm like, Greg, what the hell? It's like if it's one, then it's outwardly the other.
Right.
Oh, good. I mean, first impressions here, everybody. We're doing great.
And I grabbed this.
Hey,
That's gotta be Vincent. It says Facebook user, but that's gotta be Vincent.
That's Victor.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
I wear a lot of very fashionable socks, and every time my like there's a gift giving occasion, my family gets me like really fun socks now, which I love. But I saw when we went to the game and I wore my pink and blue A's outfit. I also had
one
pink and blue socks, one pink sock and one blue sock to go with the rest of the fit.
But Berto, when you meet hold on, let's get back to this.
No, I have a question, Greg, I have a question beforehand because my question would be your apprehension to say things directly. Was that the reason you didn't mention the top sheet thing at my house until we went to Dad 2.0 when Jill wasn't around? You fucker. That's why you did it, didn't it?
Did you not give Greg a top sheet?
Top sheets are abhorrent.
No, Doug, because again, sometimes, Doug, I have that. I feel I don't have that nuance of being able to say anything where you could take me tongue in cheek. Like sometimes my jokes fall flat. So whether it's delivered well or whether you're not ready for it. So I didn't want it to be so awkward.
I love you.
To talk about it. So like I feel that sometimes my sarcasm will fall flat, and I don't want to look ungrateful or disrespectful. You know what I mean? So then I'll just take it to the other side. But again, I didn't back to that, Doug. Like it wasn't enough for me to say something. It wasn't like it was the small minor inconvenience. So it was like,
Wait.
dude, even like I don't know this guy this well in order to say that. Now I know y'all this well now. So if I go to your house now, I would say something like, I don't like that picture or something. I would say something and y'all would be like, it's cool.
Wait. I have to dive a little bit deeper into this, Greg. So there was no top sheet. So that means you stayed over, right?
Yeah, he was at my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did he give you a washcloth?
That was in the bathroom.
Yeah. No, because not all white people use washcloths.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see the Chappelle thing where they swap families?
Yeah, fuck Dave Chappelle, but okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yes.
15 years
No, I know
ago.
what you're right.
I wanted to get another layer to this.
No, and back to what I was saying though, real quick, is like you seemed very direct though, Berto, the first time I met you. Like that but that's not your normal. You're telling us that that's not normally how you communicate. So where does that fall in?
More suggestion.
Yeah.
Right. So it's interesting because and I think we've talked a little bit about this with other people, like the extrovert introvert thing, where like I was an actor and I'm on stage and I'm in front of people and I love it. I get jazzed by it. I was a teacher. I love being in front of a classroom, for those hours, and we're interacting and we're doing all that. And at a conference, especially at a conference when I was like the new guy, like my first one, like I knew all you guys from the Dad Bloggers group, but I had never met anybody. And I was,
where did you land?
You guys had more readers and more followers and more cachet, and I was new, and like, so I felt like that's when I went into, it's almost like a defensive mode where like, and I'll tell you a little bit of the background of this. I went to a new school every single year until high school. Ooh. I was always the new kid.
That is hard.
It's hard. And so you have two choices. You can either shrink down or you could be like, what up? Ah! And I went that route, right? I became the class clown and I got beat up a lot anyway. But the point is like when it's that environment, like I'm going to just be on and I'm going to try to like hold my ground. That's the other thing. And this gets back to Tannen too and how boys are socialized. You go in and you have to figure out what's the hierarchy, where do you fit, how do you hold your ground, like how do you make your splash. And boys are constantly doing that. Like, again, like I talked about earlier, good-natured ribbing, that one-upmanship, that like, hey, I'm gonna throw a little diss at you. We're gonna play the dozens. We're gonna go back and forth, and at the end, we're all gonna be friends, but also we're gonna figure out where we are, right?
Sure.
And so that's like in that environment, absolutely. But then at work, and again, I work in a female-dominated profession, right? Like I have to learn different communication strategies. I can't be the dad 2.0 Berto in my office.
Not well received.
And I can't do that with my students when I was teaching. And I can't you have to learn how to communicate within your environment. And then there's at home, there's me at home, which probably ranges from like completely tyrannical, drunk Puerto Rican dad, right? Which I am Puerto Rican. That's why I said that a lot of people don't know. I say I'm Asian. I say I'm Puerto Rican. I'm both. It's crazy.
Correct.
Right? Like from that end all the way down to like, I'm never going to say what I mean or show affection, Asian dad, right? And like just run that whole spectrum. It's probably very confusing for my family, but they,
You're right, though. You're right. It's a different kind of thing at that too. I remember he may not be watching anymore, but I remember my first interaction with Aaron Govea was fireworks. Like I walked into Dad too, Doug. I forget which one it was. Washington. It was the one before I met you, and I just see Aaron Govea in the middle of like all these dads that had pulled chairs up. And this motherfucker is just going at it about the Patriots. So I just pulled up and just started in on him, Doug. I was like, and Aaron Govea and I, since then, we don't really go back and forth on this. If you know, we don't really actually. I said a little bit, like we don't have a confrontational relationship like Doug and him do. Like everybody has a different relationship. My relationship with Aaron Govea is really more of mutual admiration. It's more of like Doug and I. Like we both appreciate each other. We both like each other a lot. We rarely take shots at each other. But my first interaction with Humberto was just all shots. And we were just going back and forth. And he's like, "You're a Browns fan. What the fuck are you talking to me for?" And I'm like, "Bitch, I can talk to you. Like, who do you think you are?" And like that was the first interaction, Doug. And ever since then, it's been like we're like brothers from another mother, and I love his family and he loves me. And we just it's just weird how communication, it's so like you're teaching us a lot about communication, Berto, and it's just crazy how like things start, things end. It's just amazing. And I don't think people understand the level of communication that an interpreter brings to the table. And I think unless you're deaf, it's hard to figure that out because it's a service that you don't use. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's since you don't use it and you don't have familiarity with it, it's hard to be like, "Oh wow." And that's why you busted on the scene tonight. And I don't know, you've been on the stream more. This is your third time, I believe, and this is
Third or fourth.
we haven't really
Yeah,
gone
okay.
in depth like this. And I can't be the only one who has learned something tonight from all this, but I just wanted to thank you for that. We're not leaving or anything, or we'll leave soon, but I just wanted to thank you though for bringing that aspect of it. I knew we were eventually going to talk about who you were, and we got around to that, and that was amazing. But yeah. See, look, people just want to punch me randomly, right?
In a loving way.
No. Look, I tried to punch. Who is this? The first time we met.
Right, Victor. Is it Victor?
Yeah, look, Berto's a precious cupcake. That's really
I've
but he
seen this
comes
in the Twitterverse.
but at that 2.0, he comes off hard first. I'm
I
just
mean,
letting
Cupcake's
you
gonna
know.
have an edge.
I'm just like this dude. Like it was definitely more than slightly annoying. Actually, I was quirked, and I was like, what?
And then he
Like,
grew on you.
no, that can't be. No, he can't be. No.
We need to do a segue here. We'll do personality types for the next hour. So
Yes.
I want to get to the first
Fascinating.
because we can go a long way with that. Berto, you opened a beer and then you took a sip of it, but it's pretty full. What'd you pour?
This is a reference I bet you guys are gonna get. But this is the Red and Black Lumberjack Hazy IPA.
Can't say I do get that. What am I missing?
Greg, who used to wear the Red and Black Lumberjack with the hat to match.
Oh shit! How did I miss Biggie? Jesus, I'm an idiot.
I mean, I don't know if it's a direct reference, but it is for me. I don't know how anyone could call anything Red and Black Lumberjack and not have that be a reference to Biggie.
With the hat to match, yeah.
Right. Your cupcake with jalapenos.
Yeah.
I was thinking like a little red pepper flakes or habanero. But
I mean, like some chocolate with some spice is solid.
Oh yeah, a little mole, a little
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Gotta get a little cross section there.
Who's next? One of y'all got?
I'll go.
Lauren.
I didn't skip. I drank the can, but I'm now on a third beverage. We'll talk about it later. I poured a liquid history lesson. Ooh, this way. Beer 2000 Imperial Stout. I believe it's Hen House. We've got a tweed chicken situation over here. And it's darker than the first two that I had. So
Zach's right here too.
Oh my god. Also, I love a good crisp cold beverage on a warm day. Great. I will also drink darker beers whenever. But this one is much more in my wheelhouse and it's tasty. It's not heavy and super like thick, viscous beverage, but it's definitely giving me like that good darker beer vibes that I had missed on my first two. So it's tasty.
Excellent.
Doug,
I did like Irina for a bit here, and now she's
I know.
ruined
Craig,
everything.
it's
Solidarity, Irina.
No one listen. No one needs it. It's a luxury. Thank you.
The only
Go on,
time you
Doug.
need it, the only time you need it is in a hotel.
It's a luxury. Thank you. Go, Doug.
Yeah. So I'm going to go with another beer here, but this is one that I found. I was super excited because I don't see a lot of these out in the wild. The Schwartz beer.
The Schwartz is with you.
what does that mean?
A Schwartz beer is a German dark lager, and you don't see a lot of people make them. So what's cool also is they make some fucking wicked awesome can art.
That looks cool.
So this is their seasonal series. But this is the Chopping Wood, which is a fucking fun name. Schwartz beer dark lager, only 5% ABV. If I could find Schwartz beers, I grab them just because I don't see a whole lot of them, and I like them a lot.
And they tend to be smoky, Lauren.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I like it.
Like sometimes smoky, like bacon smoky, or like ribs smoky.
Okay, not like smoky.
Not like cigarettes,
Some of them can be.
I'm intrigued by this, but like that looks beautiful, by the way. And in the sense of less common beers, I got to see Roberto in 3D earlier this week, and he mentioned us going to Hoi Polloi, but then we also went to Triple Rock. And I got a dark mild, which I don't see everywhere, and that was super delicious. How's this one, Doug?
This is really, really good. It's a little smoky. It's got the roasty notes that I like, but yeah, it is really a really beautiful can. This is one called Mountains Walking Brewery. That's a upstate New York one.
Mountains Walking is Montana.
Bozeman. I went Botana. Bozeman, Montana. Botana. Like it's a new state. But yeah, Mountains Walking Brewery. So they have a couple of these that come into this one bottle shop that's near me, and everything I've had from them is fucking great. This is really
everything there is fucking great.
I feel like I've heard you all talk about that brewery before.
I love that.
It's a great representation of style. It's a little smoky, a little roasty. Just really, it's dark, but it's smooth. It's not like something you're just like, oh man, it's just like, it's not over aggressive anything. It's just really, really well balanced. And it's only 5% ABV. So yeah, cheers, man. This is good.
They are great. And we've had a wardrobe change.
Oh my God. What does this say? 8 days.
All right.
Tomorrow is the beginning of the Gish hunt.
Oh,
so
which is it's an annual big event, but there's other things, right?
So yeah, and I am not officially
Gishing
assigned to speak on behalf of Gish, but I can say what I know as someone who's tangentially involved. Which is right. So for many years, it was a big annual thing. And then during the pandemic, there needed to be more fun. There needed to be more fun things going on. And so they started to have these mini hunts. And these were sort of, shorter events, weekend events, that kind of thing. And they always have these fun sort of celebrity guest panels and, things people can learn from in between the times when they're creating. And so if you don't know sort of the bones of this scavenger hunt as it's developed, and I can't really speak to the past as much of what it was, but during the pandemic, which is when I got involved, it's been a lot of like at-home arts and crafts, right? Like create a tableau of whatever, The Last Supper entirely out of bell peppers. Like, just weird, fun stuff. And the list is like, it can be 200 items long. You're never going to do it. You play this as a team. So you get, I don't know, 5, 6 people. You can either choose your friends or you can just choose people you've met. And people form teams that are global so that you can work in all different time zones. And you can even do like the old intramural sports thing where you like sign up, but you don't have a team. And so you just get placed on a team. It's super inclusive. And so they've been doing these mini hunts, and they were doing leading up to the election and events and all this stuff. And yeah, like it's been super fun. And then at the end, you get to see like all of these things, these fun, weird, goofy things that people have created. And it's super fun. And it kicks off tomorrow. In fact, I'm supposed to be in Charlie's been tweeting that I should go to bed because it starts tomorrow.
Early.
Yeah.
Not early
It
here.
is so
If you're-
early.
if you-
I mean-
if you-
Pacific time zone.
Absolutely. So it's going to be fun. But it does start tomorrow, and there's a lot of Gishers out in the audience today for this stream. And so I wanted to shout out all of the wonderful Gish participants who are, oh my God, and Charlie tortured me with this one. They're entering the Fun Known. The Fun Known. When you read that, it looks like Funk Noun. Because
That's true. Is it all? It's because it's all one word.
Yes. And yes, as Irena's pointing out, one of the big things that they're doing. So they do different things with each hunt. They do everything with each big hunt, but they always have like a charity that is sort of one of their primary ones. And then they have a change of life, which is a whole other thing. But one of the things that they're raising money for this year is Nova Ukraine. And one of the things that Nova Ukraine does, or maybe it's the thing, things pass by me when I'm interpreting. I don't always know all the details. But they do, as the comment said, they do help disabled people who are evacuating from the war. And that's one of their huge projects. And as has been said many times on the Gish streams, they do it with dignity, and they do it in a way that, is respectful. So that's actually like that's a big deal, man. So, can I do it in Russian? I don't speak. I keep saying Irena because that's Spanish. Irina? I don't know. I don't know. How to do it in Russian. Huh?
You say Irina.
Irina. Okay, Irina. Okay, cool.
Hey, I'm only getting that off of the Russian shit I learned from The Bourne Identity and all those movies. So
that's a good place.
Gotta start somewhere.
Definitely not from the Russian that was spoken by Sean Connery in The Hunt for Red October, which was not Russian at all. It was just him with a British accent as a Russian soldier. But yes.
Oh yeah, no. Sean Connery never did an accent other than his own in any movie, and like there was some stand-up comedian from the '80s who I have no idea who he was.
Yakov Smirnoff.
No, but he did this whole bit about Sean Connery where he was like, Irina? I would just say Irina in English. But he did this whole bit about like, the producers coming to Sean Connery and saying like, all right, you're going to play Russian sea captain. How are you going to do it? And he's like, I'm going to do it like this. I'm like, okay, great. You're playing a British spy. How are you going to do it? I was thinking of doing it like this. And you're like, okay, great, perfect. Okay, Sean, there's a movie. We want you to be in it. It's called Highlander. It's about Scotland, okay? Everyone in the movie is Scottish. Great, that sounds great. Except you. Your character's from Spain. How are you going to do it? Well, I was thinking of doing it like this. And you're like, he was in a American movie about Scotland playing a Spaniard, and he was the only guy in it with a real Scottish accent. It doesn't make any sense.
He's still a stud, though. Anyway.
Well, apparently,
not anymore. He's dead.
Dog and just all around bad person. He actually was James Bond. He was actually just going around like leaving a trail of abused and broken women.
Yep.
Yeah,
not a great guy. Great actor, not a great person.
He's the Dave Chappelle of Sean Connery's.
So Irina said a little while back, I'm catching up here. She has no poker face, so that's her directness. If you hate,
I mean,
relate to this?
It's direct. It's explicit. You're being very clear with others.
Well, and that's one of the things I've struggled with, right, as in my life. And again, this is the thing. I feel like white people get away with this. Okay, can I say that on air? Anyway, I feel like
on this broadcast, sure.
I feel like white people get away with this, which is like being passive aggressive, where they can say like horribly mean things to you, but like with no curse words, right? Like they'll just say like really devastatingly cruel, terrible things. And then you're like, yeah, well, fuck you. And then they're like all offended, like, oh, you look at your language, you're so terrible. And now I'm like, because like, okay, my dad moved to the Bay Area from the Bronx because like he got like shot and to get out of a gang, like, and so he came to Summer of Love to try to be a hippie, but he was actually just like a gang member from the South Bronx Projects. Okay. And then like, whatever, we have a whole family history, both sides. Point is, I never learned to be passive aggressive. I'm like fucking aggressive. Like that's all I have.
You took the passive right out.
Right. Like either we're having a good time, or if we're not, it's gonna get real fucking real, like real fast. Like I don't have like the change of like, oh no, we're gonna like go through the repartee part and we're gonna like no. Like when it's on, it's on. It's either not on or it is on. That's like a light switch. It's not a dimmer. I have no dimmer. Right. I get you.
I have a lot of different things.
Irina, Adina.
Right.
I feel you.
And also Manny, when I hear all due respect, I'm waiting for the hammer to drop. Rylan has zero ability to disguise being unimpressed with someone, even with their mask on. That's pretty funny. Because a lot of people, the mask thing we thought was going to be helpful. So we're gonna revisit. Berto, I don't know if you ever answered this question, so I'm gonna wait to ask you. We're gonna revisit this really quick because we had some good comments. So Katie P says the top sheets are too much.
That's exactly right.
Tangle. Doug, let me finish. And in my sleep deprived state, I become an angry creature, chuck everything to the abyss. I feel that.
Into space.
Max says, I need a top sheet. Some of us have texture issues. Feeling the blanket makes my spine crawl to the back of my neck. Thank you, Max. Some of these sheets do not deserve, some of these blankets do not deserve our bare skin, Max. I completely agree. That's why they give us the top sheets. Top sheets are luxury, Doug. So
hey, we are not high class here. In case you didn't recognize that shit when you walked in this joint,
yeah, I wanted to say it, but it was too direct.
Sometimes when it's hot, though, the top sheet is all you can bear, and so
the blanket.
Right,
yeah, the top sheet is the blanket.
Right.
Where are the non-top sheet people on this situation?
I love the person. I love the person I saw on Twitter today who was like, "I need a weighted blanket, but also just a top sheet." And I get that. Like you want a weighted blanket, but it's also very hot. And so you just want it to be thin like a sheet.
Doug is obtuse with this. He doesn't want to see nuance here.
No, and I'm going to tell you something. Listen, prior to my heart attack, I was a furnace when I would go to bed. Like I still didn't sleep with the top sheet. You know what I did? I had like half my body outside the comforter.
Sure, like a foot out or whatever.
No, not a foot. Half my body.
Okay.
Now we have the AC fucking blasting because my wife is in perimenopause. So like hot flashes are a real thing for her. So it's a really struggle for her overnight. Like half the night she's cold and half the night she's like flinging the blankets off her. And we had the AC going full blast. So now I'm on 1 million blood thinners and blood pressure meds. So like I am freezing in our bedroom. But I just take a big comforter and wrap myself, and I'm good to go. So it shifted, but still no top sheets because fuck that.
I mean, okay, the people with I saw something with the AC. I was like, if we're talking about luxury, AC is a luxury. I would like to have AC. I do not.
You don't have AC if you live in the Bay. No one has AC.
Also, climate change is happening. It's hot, and our places are not like prepared
So
for
you
this.
so you guys are like Britain. Remember Britain had a heat wave.
Oh, yeah,
nobody
we're
nobody has AC there. So they're
No.
like they had a
We're
heat
not-
wave come through and they were like, "Fuck, we're dying." And I'm like, "Not that it's hot there, yeah." But then you realize none of them have AC because
Yeah.
it's never that hot.
Yeah, that's what's happening. I live in a place I am on a second floor. It's lovely, but it's it's like stairs up to a full second floor. So we have windows 360, and these windows are old and like wooden and single paned. And I'm pretty convinced that one of them is plexiglass. Like it's plastic. I don't think that's a window. And when it's
Plastic wrap.
when it's hot, it's like there's no escape. Like our place gets hotter than outside. At one point, when there was a heat wave in the Bay Area, we had there's like a thermostat for heat, but then there's like a temperature thing that it doesn't do anything, but it's like an electric temperature thing that has like an up down that does nothing, but it reads the temperature. And it said OL because it was outside the limits. It could not read the temperature. It was too hot.
Can I throw like the other side out there though? So I grew up here. I'm like from this area. Right?
Me too. My entire life.
I gotcha. But here's what I never knew. So I heard all the jokes. Oh, the coldest winter I ever spent was a summer in San Francisco, blah, blah, blah. I was always like, what? That doesn't really. And then I started working on the west side of San Francisco. It was raining today. It wasn't raining anywhere in the Bay Area, but it was raining where I work. Because like it wasn't even rain. It was just like we were in a fog bank for the entire day. And it was like being in the upside down. It was just like little water droplets everywhere. It was very strange. And so I asked a coworker of mine, because I'm new there, I was like, do people ever there's no students in the summer? Do people wear shorts? How casual does it get? And she goes, oh yeah, never seen anyone wear shorts. So I thought, okay, it doesn't get that casual. No, it's because you will freeze and die if you wear shorts to my office in the summer.
It is not conducive to the weather.
No, it is awful.
Microclimates in California are for this is going back to the not original, but the where else can I live? I've lived in California most of my life. It's relatively temperate-ish, but also microclimates are real where there will be a 15-degree swing 5 miles away. I have not had a deep, hard winter, but also I've been oh, it's summer, but I need several layers in case and an umbrella because you never know. So, again,
even though it's a drought and it's not going to rain.
I mean, it's true. There's going to be one freak storm and that'll be the rain for the year. Maybe. And Berto is so stylish. Are we in is it Act 3? I think someone said that earlier. We're in Act 3 now.
We are.
3, 4?
Maybe.
4, whatever.
Is an encore at this point.
Yep.
So Lauren, this comment's for you.
Oh, okay. Well, Irina, let's talk about Atlanta. I mean, humidity.
2 things about Atlanta. It's hot as fuck a lot, and the traffic there is fucking terrible.
Traffic.
And if you go to a baseball game, the fans do this chop thing, and they do this chant, and it's super disconcerting. So here was my I went to Atlanta for a conference, and I had a day before the conference, and so I went to see my beloved Washington Nationals play the Atlanta Braves. And so I haven't spent a lot of time in the South, the deep South. I haven't because it frightens me. Even Northern Virginia, when you're sitting at the corner of Pickett and Lee outside the Stonewall Jackson Elementary School, that's all the frightening South shit I need in my life. But I went to the Braves game, and it was when Obama was president, and it was the early Obama years when people were like, oh, I want my country back. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is so weird. And then I went to Atlanta, and I realized walking around the stadium, I was like, oh, okay. I started to get it because all of the people who look like me or darker, so people between me and Greg, all those people were either serving the food or playing on the field.
Nowhere else.
Nowhere. They were not the fans. They were not the people sitting in the stands, watching the game, purchasing the things. They were either the entertainment or the laborers. And then they started the chop with the chant, and they had a 50-foot tall Chick-fil-A cow. And we know Chick-fil-A already horrible. 50-foot tall Chick-fil-A cow that was animatronic and did the chop. And it was
This sounds like a lot.
it was a very frightening thing, but also like an aha moment where I was like, oh, these are the people who, like, you see the brown people entertaining you and serving you, and then one is in charge and your mind is exploding and you want your country back because they're just supposed to be in those two roles. Right? You're like,
All it takes is
you're the porter or you're Al Jolson, but you're not the fucking president. And again, not having spent time in the South, like, it was a huge, it was a huge thing for me.
Cool perspective.
I always love that Robert Parrish story. You know Robert Parrish, Berto.
Oh yeah, Robert
Hall
Parrish.
of Fame. Yeah, Hall of Fame. One of the best players ever to play for Boston Celtics. He loved to say that.
The Warriors and the Bulls also, Greg.
Yeah. Okay. And he loved to say that they love to cheer for me during the games, but they don't want to live next to me.
Mm-hmm.
So he always said that, and that was always profound. Yeah, that sounds, yeah, it does, Katie.
I mean, there's everywhere.
Right.
Going back to Irina's cell, everywhere has pros and cons. I am open to hearing both sides of experiences, and I appreciate you bringing that to my attention.
So something lighter, real quick. I just want to show y'all that you're really old, because on Sunday, George Jetson is born.
What?
That means flying cars are only 30 years away.
Soon. So soon.
You're old, Lauren.
I mean, sure. Yes.
Hey, I think we can agree that we can agree that I'm the old guy here. So let's just leave it at that.
Lauren doesn't qualify for the 40 for 40 race. That's why she's got to be
I'm the correspondent.
the correspondent.
I'm like interning for the race. I'm
That's
a
right.
race amateur. Something. I'm supportive.
Aspiring racer, maybe?
I'm an aspiring racer. Just give me time. That's all I need, apparently.
Let's see here real quick. Laura, Irina says there's a really cool place in Decatur called the Brick Store Pub that has incredible beer selection. Every type of beer.
That's a pretty big statement there, Irina.
Yeah.
That's great.
Right up our alley, though, Doug, if we're ever down there, for sure.
There used to be a place in DC called the Brickskeller, which was literally like in a basement made of bricks that had a beer menu with 1,000 beers on it.
Beautiful. Poor Max is stuck at work while we're all here drinking, having a good time.
Sorry,
so shout out to Max.
Well, what?
Max.
I'm sorry.
So
well, for the homies. So sorry. It's fine. You're doing great. You're doing great work.
Katie has suggested that she has to have a blanket to protect her from monsters, y'all.
Yes, Katie.
Don't judge, but she's still safe even if a corner.
It is a force field of protection.
On her shoulder.
Even if it's a sheet, there is a force field of protection from danger.
Sometimes I sleep with my foot on the floor.
With your one eye open?
I have a short leg.
With your good eye closed as sound guarding.
Yeah, exactly.
Irina says she's drinking wine while watching a beer-centered broadcast.
Wine is great. I did beer. We do beer, but we are welcoming to all liquid beverage.
We are welcoming.
H2O is also delicious.
Irina, we are a Roberto-centered podcast tonight. Just so you know. I just got to make that clear. Okay, cool.
And so can we tease that I'm going to be back on September 9th? And this is like Charlie's one chance to beat me is if I stay up too late drinking the day before the race.
Ooh.
Right.
Oh, I have a new question about that.
Why don't we get Charlie's ass on here that night?
Yeah, we should. We should get Charlie on here.
We need to get some peer pressure.
Yeah, I got questions for him.
Hang out. We need to get some peer pressure. Roberto peer pressured me to hang out, so we're going to peer pressure Charlie to hang out.
Yeah, that's much better than the way you described it on a Wednesday.
That's fair.
Which was two men harassing you on the internet.
Politely caringly harassing me via multiple messaging applications.
Doug has a request, y'all. So
Hold on, wait. Lauren had a question.
Wait, can I ask a question?
Lauren questioned, and then we wrap.
And then the request.
Okay, real quick question. 40 for 40. We're wrapping 40 for 40. Follow the hashtag. Sign up for the thing. Support stuff. Do all the donating. Tell all your friends. Get people to run. But can people sign up until? I mean, like, do it now, but also until the day before.
I mean, I would say that people can sign up until I lack the bandwidth to deal with it.
Okay, so like, should they be doing it the day of? I mean, in theory, possible.
I feel like that it would be hard to schedule and get them on the stream because I feel like my life is going to be pretty chaotic at that point.
That's fair.
But so I would encourage people to do it early.
Do it now so that people can so that I want to read all of your fun bio things. I love getting to know people. We didn't even get to this, but was it Greg's beer that was like a hybrid animal can art? I was like, one of my favorite questions to ask people is if you were half animal and which half? And we didn't even get there. So I want to read your fun bios and get to know people. So message Roberto early. That
can reminds me, did you see, I forget what it was, it New Jersey or something that had the vote sticker competition and like a really bizarre like spider person drawing that looked like, I mean, it was a very strange drawing one. So like all the I voted stickers in that state are going to be this like, I mean, it looks like one of those monsters driving a hot rod from the 70s sticker. Like it's really bizarre.
I'm going to Google this now. It's going to be great. Can we be friends and chat? I want to chat about this. But yeah, sorry. You can sign up until Roberto can't handle it, but sign up early so that I can read all of your fun bios.
I think Zach Rosenberg said he was going to start managing registrations through a Google Sheet, so that's going to be super helpful.
Yes. Go Zach.
Yeah. So Zach, like, you just keep bringing them in, bud. I appreciate it.
A quick question for Roberto. Are you a sociopath? Don't you know you have to keep arms and legs inside the bed at all times?
I think that if you look at like my rest of my personality and my behaviors towards society, I'm not a sociopath. However,
sure.
I would also say, like, maybe it's just because I have a short bed. I don't know why sometimes I sleep with one foot on the ground. I think it's that maybe I'm just ready to escape when the monsters attack everyone else because I've already got one like leverage point.
Okay, my other thought, now that I've had several beers, is you're at any time prepared for on-screen movie sex, 1 foot on the ground. Isn't that one of the things that they have to do for like filming? That was like one of the rules. I don't know. I'm not in film.
That might have been.
I thought you found my OnlyFans. So, whew, okay. I'm glad that was a question.
That's a very specific niche.
You have an OnlyFans?
I mean, I have an OnlyFan. Actually, is what I have. She's out there.
Putting your feet outside the bed.
Yeah, I'm definitely.
But here's the thing:
force field.
I have seriously, like, I'm 45 years old, but I have a bed like a child with the drawers underneath. So the monsters can't get under there.
They're in other places, slithery floor space.
No, they're big, like Sully.
But he's nice.
And the top sheet saves you from those, just so you know.
It's
another
true.
thing that Doug doesn't appreciate.
Honestly, and for me, any covering, but I'm also, I have a top sheet, so
But also, like Doug probably doesn't have a weighted blanket because those are a pain in the butt to wash.
No, I do not.
You gotta have a top sheet if you have a weighted blanket.
That weighted blanket. So my wife has a weighted blanket, and I think a few of my kids have them. They barely use them.
Oh my god, and we like invented our own by putting like 2 comforters in a duvet.
Several bricks and a few. Several bricks.
I wasn't sure. I was like, did you put beans in like the blanket situation? I didn't know where you were going with that. That's actually a good start.
We filled a bunch of socks with rice, and then we just layered them through.
Sewed them
and
together.
then put them in
like
a pillow,
tatami
multiple
mat.
pillowcases.
Exactly. Which, by the way, if you don't know, if you ever need a little heat therapy, sock full of rice in the microwave for like 30 seconds, and then you put it on your neck.
Is it better than oat? I feel like things being oatmeal, bean, or rice.
Buckwheat.
Filled.
People used to do buckwheat, but like I'm Japanese. I don't have freaking buckwheat in my house. I have rice.
I mean,
there's so much rice.
Isn't soba is buckwheat? I don't really know.
Like if you're Spanish and Asian, you have a lot of rice around. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
Exactly.
Doug doesn't appreciate top sheets.
Pillowcase full of oranges.
Again, there is only one place that I find them applicable, and it's when you're staying in a hotel or a motel.
Doug, stop talking. I'm trying to get a segue here.
Okay.
Doug does not appreciate top sheets, but he does appreciate. Oh shit! What are we gonna do with Doug? Doug, that's my page. What are you showing me?
It's like, what's happening? What are we watching?
Wow!
I showed you.
We're watching Doug's Facebook.
No, we're not.
It's very confusing, to be honest.
Do you want me to stop my screen and share that shit again? Because I can.
I would like for you to get it right, of course.
I did.
We're watching a lot of things, folks.
All right,
this is live.
So I switched the screen. That was the problem. So there we go.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So I started watching this.
Oh.
So this is The Bear, which is about a guy who comes back from being a James Beard Award-winning chef to manage a restaurant that's been in his family in the middle of Chicago that is knee-deep in a fuck ton of debt and is just, it's kind of fucked up. I'm only 2 episodes in, but like it's only like maybe 30-40 minute episodes. But like it's crazy because the guy that's like got the has the hands up, like, hey, this guy right here, he's the guy that was there, and the guy who owned the place unfortunately unalived himself, and so it was basically willed to the guy that's holding his hand on his head, not the other dude. And it's just this expression because it's a power struggle. Because, hey, I've been here. You were off fucking gallivanting, being a fancy chef. What do you know about roast beef stuff in Chicago? And it's really, really good so far. And I'm interested. I've heard episode 4 is an episode wrecker, like not an episode wreck, but like an emotional wrecker to go through. So I don't know. Zach, you might be right there. I'm not exactly sure if Maddie Matheson is or not. But this is so far really good. I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. I may or may not watch this on vacation next week. I'm going to plan on doing a lot of writing and reading, but we'll see if I can get some of this
too.
Take
a break. Maybe once. You know, I've only heard, like a lot of people have said, I have heard about this a lot lately. Since in the last like week and a half, and like I've only seen and heard good things so far. I have not watched any of it, but it sounds really fascinating.
I will say that it also came recommended from the aforementioned Charlie Capen,
who will be running in the 40 for 40 race for the hopefully.
Absolutely.
I know, Arena. I have not. And I'm going to say Arena because it makes me happy to say it that way. I have not watched What We Do in the Shadows. It has been kind of on, like, my problem is I read, I listen to podcasts, I write, I can't watch all the things. So it's something that is on my list at some point. My wife actually convinced me to watch Our Flag Means Death, which is, I cannot watch it. I cannot explain to you how great a representation is for queer folks. Superb show.
Is that satire, comedy esque?
It's comedy. It is comedy.
Okay.
It's a pirate comedy.
So
and it's Reese Darby's, who is at a Dab 2.0.
Oh yeah.
and it's I can never pronounce it. Taika Waititi.
Taika
fucked it.
Waititi.
Yeah, I think I may have completely wrecked that
I might
fucking
have also-
name. And I
Okay,
apologize.
so
Both
we've
of them
mentioned
right.
this. We've mentioned this, and I have to go off on a couple of quick
Okay.
things. One, I started watching Our Flag Means Death when me and my 11-year-old were dog sitting for a friend of ours. And I only got about 4 episodes in, and the 11-year-old was like, I'm not so sure, and then was like, got into it. And I'm actually really excited because one of the actors, whose name is escaping me, and I don't want to give away plot points, but one of the actors is going to be on an upcoming Gish panel this week that I get to interpret. And hopefully I get to join a little early, and they get to join a little early, and I get to just fanboy for a little bit and say I'm such a big fan.
Yes, Vico.
Yeah, it's going to be Vico. Vico's the one I'm
Yes.
super excited to meet.
It's a non-binary cast member, which is one of the few folks you see in Hollywood that is out as non-binary.
Along with the person who was in played one of the kids in Bill and Ted's recent movie, whatever it was called.
And also Janelle Monáe. But yes, anyway, I digress.
But I'm super excited because I loved the character, and then I looked up the actor, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is a whole thing!" And then I talked about it with my non-binary kids, and it's a whole thing. So I'm just personally very excited for that panel. But the one that came up, the Reese Darby one. So Reese Darby has a podcast with some other people, actors, comedians, whatever, about cryptids. You familiar with cryptids?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So mythical animals, creatures that may actually exist, the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, right? And but they had this part, they were going around, and the question was, what's your favorite cryptid? And one of the guys, not Reese Darby, but one of the other guys goes, well, my favorite cryptid is I forget what it was called, but basically goes, it's a giant earthworm that shoots acid out of its eyes, like earthworms don't have eyes or whatever, and lightning out of its anus. And so
that sounds like a nightmare.
Yeah, so we're going through this, and he goes, actually, that's not really my favorite, but I wanted to see the interpreter do anus lightning. And then everyone said anus lightning about 10 more times, and we all had a good laugh. So, yeah, that was the story about me and Reese Darby, who will never answer any of my tweets. I'm like, Reese Darby, I'm the anus lightning guy. Like, we should be friends. But,
Apparently that's not enough.
No, it's not enough. It's not enough. And that's fine. I understand. He's a busy guy.
That's fair. I mean, yes.
Yeah. I'm sure he's got a lot going on.
We'll see what the next phrase that gets you.
The other fun thing was one of the people in that stream did the entire interview from a car, but it was a car parked in the lobby of their office building. So that was also interesting. That's good times.
Wow. So this is What Are You Watching? And I told Doug that we would get him out of here in like an hour and a half, and we are 2.5 hours in. But do y'all have anything quick that you're watching that you want to suggest?
Lauren,
I do.
All right, yeah.
I do. Oh my god, I do. And I feel like I need to say something because I'm the worst at watching things. Not actually, but like I have I don't just well, if it's scary, then I do this. But I have seen so few like classics and current watchings, and I get shamed a lot. We talked about this last week, actually, where we talked about a lot of John Carpenter and Kurt Russell, and I've seen like none of the movies. I'm working on it. We're gonna watch Con Air at some point.
Oh yeah.
I know I haven't seen it. I'm sorry. It's fine. Anyway, get over it. I'm bad at this. But it took me a while. But I
wonder how that's aged. But go on, Lauren.
It's fascinating because I watch a lot of classics now for the first time, and I'm like, wow, look at that limo.
It's bad.
This movie is
it's bad,
old.
but it's great.
It's confusing. Like I watched, oh my God, Bruce Willis Christmas. Oh my God, my brain.
Die Hard.
Die
Die
Hard.
Hard.
Why can't I think of the name? I watched Die Hard for the first time like 3 or 4 years ago.
That's
It was
great.
fascinating. I was like, wow, this is
Great movie.
I had to keep pausing because I was like, okay, there's a car phone. What's happening? So it's interesting and it's different. Anyway, I'm behind, but in a more recent I'm behind, but not as far behind as classics, I recently watched Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
I've been
And
dying
it
to
was
watch it.
freaking amazing. And I feel like everyone needs to watch. I mean, I don't want to should on people, but it's a great movie. It's got an Asian cast that has nothing to do with how good the movie is, except for like Michelle Yeoh's amazing.
Does it though?
I mean,
'Cause
it plays into it, but like it's like aside from the fact that it's an Asian cast, it's a great movie and it's an Asian cast.
so
which makes
so
it-
here's the thing, Lauren. I don't know who you spent the pandemic with. Okay.
No, oh, but I don't go places.
But no, I'm saying like I haven't met your partner. I don't know anything about this person. I will say, and I mean this very nicely,
Uh-oh.
but I was stuck in a house for 2 years with a bunch of white people. And my kids are part Asian, but it's my job to teach them how to be Asian. And so I wasn't around other Asian people. And so I like inhaled so much Asian like film and television. Like it was all I watched for at least a year was just like, because I
Just, like, needed it.
I needed
I mean,
that.
okay. I think that is not what made it a good movie by any means. It was a bonus factor of like also just like representation and like fascinating like snippets of like Asian life things. So also great, but has nothing to do with the greatness of the movie itself, in the sense like it was a fantastic movie, not because it was an Asian cast, but on top of that, also Asian cast loved it. It felt, I hate the word disruptive. I hate, like it feels
No,
very
you don't.
buzzwordy.
Which is worse?
He
Moist,
invented
moist.
Oh my God, moist is always worse.
moistruptive, though.
Oh my God. Okay. That is the worst. Disruptive, not great. Moist, worse. Moistruptive needs to go away forever.
How about a moistruption
I'm gonna
Just
barf.
moist. Just moist.
with money in it?
Mm-mm.
Just
Moist
is great.
money. No, we don't. I like that we've come full circle, but also, no, I don't want that. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. Fantastic movie. I feel like disruptive feels so techie. I don't know. It feels very
It
hip.
does.
And I don't
That's
love
kind of
it.
your world. You're a
But I mean, it's like, I know I'm not a 40 for 40 yet, but I don't love the word, but it feels like you're seeing characters that you don't always see. You're seeing a storyline that you don't always see. It's without giving anything away, because if you haven't seen it, you should absolutely watch it. I highly recommend it. And I see no movies. I know
I know you're
yelling?
like, I
Am I
wanted
yelling?
to
I'm
ask if
sorry.
you grew up with like Amish parents and some sort of like.
No, I swear
You're
I
like,
didn't
what
live under a
kind of
rock. I
movies?
just played a lot of sports and didn't watch. I don't know.
So wait, but when I asked, did you play competitive sports? You didn't say anything.
I said yes, and then we talked about other things. That's fine.
What did you play?
Basketball. I did not in college, but I played basketball. I made varsity. I'm short. It's fine.
Short doesn't mean
Everything,
you can't
everywhere,
buy it.
all at once. Everyone should see it. Okay, I don't want to should. It's a fantastic movie. If you have not seen it, you should do not look into it. See it going in blind. Like, don't go look for articles and trailer. Like, just go watch the movie.
Where is it found?
Oh my God, I don't actually.
I
'cause
think you can rent it on
It's
Amazon
rentable?
Prime. On Amazon
In-
Prime.
It's on some kind of service.
It's streaming in places, but I believe it's currently rentable. I got to watch it on a projector in somebody's yard because they purchased it. So I was a little lucky that way. It was great. Pandemic times, yards, projectors, California. But but it was so good. It's like funny and like not a drama, but there's like action and there's some, it's like low key sci-fi, like not too over the top for people who are like not into sci-fi. And it feels like it touches on a existing like story arc of like parallel universes. I'll say that because like I feel like you can gather that from trailers anyway. Like there's parallel universes, but it's like done in a way that I've never heard or seen of.
I feel like you're just explaining the plot of Shang-Chi, but I'm gonna let you finish.
Thank you, Kanye. I though? I feel like that's multiverse. I don't I mean, I guess there's like I've done MCU, but not all of them. But it was like the Doctor Strange friend with the time circles. I'm bad at I don't know. See, this is what I'm saying. I, as a non-movie person, like I would, because I'm like, usually it costs money and time, and is it worth it? Everything, everywhere, all at once. Super worth it. Okay, I'm done. I'm yelling, and I'm going to drink this now.
That's
all right. Well, I'm going to take this moment to thank Roberto for joining us. Roberto, would you like to review your beers and tell us what you like the best?
Yeah. I'm going to take my time for just a couple other quick things. What have I been watching? I've been catching up on everything else that everyone else already watched, like before me, because I had to catch up on other things. So I will just quickly say Stranger Things recent season was very good. I liked it. It was fun. Umbrella Academy recent season. Wow. Like, you know, again, as someone who has transgender family members, the way that they dealt with the Elliot Page character's transition, the way they actually dealt with his transition was I felt a little like, I won't put a judgment on it. All I'll say is like the character got a haircut and was like, I am now, you know, Victor instead of Vanya. Fine. But the part that really touched me is the family member of a transgender person. Like, I can't say what that experience was like, but that, like, basically episodes 2 through 4 are a blueprint for how family can and should react to a family member coming out as transgender. It was like the way that they did those parts of it, I thought were amazing. And Peaky Blinders and like all these series that have like come out recently, I'm like, I gotta catch up. And people are talking about it in my office. And I'm putting in my new noise canceling headphones. I'm like, I don't want to know when you cried. Like so I'm caught up on all of like the major geeky stuff. I will say absolutely like Ms. Marvel. Like I know, again, like white America MCU fans did not embrace Ms. Marvel. That show was amazing. And Lauren, like you're talking about, like the Asianness being sort of an icing on the cake kind of thing, or a wraparound, or like not the reason. Ms. Marvel has just real, relatable, normal, everyday Muslim characters.
Like they happen to be whatever.
Right. It's just people.
Like it's a great thing. And
they're doing their thing and they're Muslim. And it's very, I think this is I am cringing at myself for saying it, but I think for people who aren't already there, like hopefully it's like humanizing and like normalizing.
The universal relatability.
Right. And one of the big criticisms out there is like, oh, it's not relatable and blah, 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 that, because you don't want to see brown people just living normal lives. Fantastic show, like great addition to the MCU. And I'm a huge MCU guy. It was, wow, really great. Reviewing what I've been drinking. Everything's been really good. Hoi Polloi they're a small place. They do small batches. They are not afraid to experiment. The stuff that they can is usually a little more mainstream, but it never disappoints. Like, I think you guys at one point, when I joined the after show, after the Canadian guy was on with the big thing of pot, love that guy.
Nick North. When Nick North was on, and you guys clocked me drinking my my Racer 5, like Racer's like something you always know it's going to be good. Like that's my go-to. That's like my standard.
Hoi polloi is the same way. Like anything you get from hoi polloi is going to be good. All these styles have been exactly what you want from the description. The wheat beer tasted like bananas, which was good. The pale ale was like when I first started drinking pale ales, like they seemed super hoppy.
In bitterness,
Sort of like if you had Sierra Nevada, right? Like it's a little deeper, it's a little more towards the dark range, but it also has like a really solid hoppiness. Or the Lagunitas IPA, which again, probably shouldn't say this, but high school we used to be like, it's like drinking a blunt. Like it actually tastes piney and earthy and stuff like that. These ones are a little lighter, but they definitely have that good hop characteristic. So when someone says, "Oh, it's a hazy" or "It's a West Coast," like you really know what you're getting. And so it's not going to be something where you're like, "Oh my god, I've never experienced this before," but you're going to be like, "Yeah, like when I want this style, this is the prototype. Like this is the thing that I want." Not to mention, you got to support your hyper locals, and right. And I have to say, I've been trying to watch our Flag Means Death. I'm about 4 episodes in. I love that show. Oh my God. Give me anything like that. It's amazing.
So, Roberto, we want to thank you for joining us. We will see you next September 9th.
September 9th. Can I throw one more thing out there?
Yeah.
May I? Okay, I just want to. So I did the 4th costume change. Okay. This is a jersey that was given to me from the very first, I believe it was called the Gay International Invitational Tournament, something like that. And it featured these teams: the San Francisco Fog, Washington Renegades, and 3 teams from the British Isles. And it was the first time that gay rugby teams had gotten together to play an international friendly tournament. And that was in, I believe it was 2000. And about a year later, one of the people who played in this tournament, his name's Mark Bingham, was on the United flight that crashed in Pennsylvania. And he was a gay man. He played at the University of California, which is only called University of California outside of Berkeley. Here we call it Cal. But Cal is the most successful collegiate rugby team in America. They're basically the Yankees of rugby. They've won like 30 national championships. And Mark Bingham played for multiple national championship rugby teams at Cal. And he was on that United flight, and he helped to prevent it from, crashing into wherever it was supposed to crash into in DC. And so after that, international gay rugby sort of grew and continued to have these tournaments that are called the Mark Bingham Cup. And they happen every 2 years. Usually there's like a North America and then international and North America international. And when I was in graduate school, my last semester of graduate school, I was actually getting ready to graduate and also going through a divorce and also getting back into rugby. And I met a guy at a Kinko's, and he was wearing a rugby shirt, and started talking to him. Turns out he was from Berkeley. He went to school nearby, and he said, "Hey, my rugby team's having a recruitment event." He gave me a flyer, and I went, and I didn't know I was joining a gay rugby team for like a month, right? Like I went and I was practicing, and I was like, "Oh, those guys are holding hands," or like that guy has the 2 male symbols intertwined, a tattoo on his calf. Like this team must be really cool because they're accepting all these just out open gay guys. Like this is like right up my alley as a guy from the Bay Area. And then I found out like I had joined a gay rugby team, and then they accepted me even though I wasn't gay, and I was like, these guys are like really cool. And so that was 2004, and they selected a team to go to London to play in the Bingham Cup, and I was chosen as one of the players, and it was a huge honor, and it was a big part of me getting through the pain of my divorce and the whole like thing of graduate school was a huge time for me. And I continued to play and referee at the Bingham Cup for years, every time I could. I brought my infant, my first child, little tiny baby, to Minnesota in 2010 to referee the Bingham Cup, and it was the baby's first airplane ride and all that. And then in 2016, which was a big year for us, we moved back to California. My father-in-law died. It was a whole deal, but we ended up in Tennessee with our two older kids, and the baby in the heat in Nashville again at the Bingham Cup, which also 2008 was in Ireland, and my wife was like, we have to do our honeymoon because we got married that year. Our honeymoon has to be Bingham Cup. So we flew to Ireland. That's like a 400-hour flight, by the way. I watched Pandora twice. Pandora, whatever that movie's called, and played in that tournament, even though it was 4 a.m. my time. And so now you kind of fast forward a few years, and my oldest is 13 now and has been refereeing for about a year and a half. And one of the big things about this kid being a referee is we are now going to go in a couple weeks. We're going to go referee the Bingham Cup in Ottawa together as a father and child. And it's a really big deal for me personally, and hopefully for Ryu also, because I get to bring my transgender kid to this like super, and my kids have played rugby. Like, Ryu didn't just become a referee, they played, and and then they went into reffing. And so I get to now, like, I didn't know when I started this in 2004 that I would have queer kids. And Ryu now, as we go to this to officiate, is only a couple of years away from being eligible to play in it. And so to have and my team is the Washington Renegades. That's who I played for. And some of them are still playing, and the guys I played with are coaching, and to be able to now share this with my kid, and to be able to go to a really queer affirming environment that is also competitive and athletic, because these guys come to play, man. This is not like they're not traipsing around the field. Like, these guys hit and they pass and they run and they're fast, and like this is a very competitive environment, and that idea that you can be authentically yourself and also be very physical and competitive, and to be able to bring my kid to that, where it's all that, right? Like, my kid's been around people who are physical and competitive and people who are LGBTQ, but not necessarily like an environment where it's 100% of both. And so this trip coming up is super special for me. It's super special, hopefully, for Ryu. And I think hopefully people out there will look up the Mark Bingham Cup and check it out. And if you're in Ottawa, the weekend of like the 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever that is, find us and come check us out and say hi. We'll be out there, man. It's a huge thing, and I did share that with the world before we closed out.
Super cool.
All right, excellent, man. Great story. Still comments coming in, but I'm gonna let so we will see you again, and we'll get to recap on all this September 9th. And so Lauren, you'll be here too, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
so
great.
It will be fantastic. Again, I want to thank you for coming on and educating us and getting us to talk about communication, all that, man. We will see you soon, and good luck and safe travels.
Thanks, guys. So fun.
Awesome. Oh, and thanks for bringing this wonderful commenting audience here.
So lively.
We've met Irina tonight. We've met Katie tonight. We've met Max tonight. We met Rye tonight. We met I don't know who this is, but we met Dale Greer Earthworks.
Hey.
We have met Rylen. We met Katie P. We met. I can't say Irina that exotic. Maybe you can, Lauren.
If you're looking for engagement, this Gish community is amazing. They will show up and they will absolutely engage
up
for sure.
This is all your fault. Yeah, cancel Doug. Right. So thanks, Berto. We'll see you soon. Y'all need to follow Berto for the 40 for 40.
Sign up.
The 40 for 40 race. And Berto, we'll see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
So, I'm not sure we lost Doug or not, but do you want to go through your beers and tell us about them real quick, and then we'll get out of here?
We've done a lot of chatting. I just drank stuff, so I'm gonna go through quickly. Rank them. I'm gonna go with this. Okay.
I ain't even ranking mine. So
today, in this moment, I had this beautiful Kolsch by Ale Industries. It was the first one I had. Super crisp. What I wanted at the moment, so it was great.
Kolsch are great. Kolsch is life.
It was so good. I don't always love. I'm a darker beer person usually, but it's a solid, light, crisp, tasty beer. And then I had this liquid history lesson beer, the Beer 2000, from Henhouse. It was Imperial Stout. That is sort of my general vibe. It was tasty. And then one that I didn't talk about earlier, but it's also felt like I was following in Doug's footsteps, was this Crown and Hops Brewing Co. Key Lime, Mama's Keys, and it's a key lime pie tart ale. I have not had as many of these as Doug, so I don't have a lot of comparison. It was like tasty, crisp. I don't know if I got specifically key lime pie vibes, but it wasn't bad. And I'm still working on this one, but it's great. Yay, beverages.
Yay, beverages. Doug?
All right. So I'm going to go quick here. The NA that I have was at the beginning. I don't have the can anymore because my wife tried some of it. So this was the moderation as lime goes by. Decent, not remarkable. So good on a hot day. I'm going to say the throwback ESB, which was extra special boots with pink lady boots. Hops was really, really good. Excellent. Really great can art too. But the winner thing was the last one I just pulled out because I was like, I remember getting another one. And it was the chopped wood Schwarzbier from Mountains Walking Brewery out of Montana. Great can art. Really good beer.
Great brewery.
Awesome.
Thank y'all. We will see y'all next week with I don't even know who the guest is. One of y'all booked her though.
Yeah, I'm not certain. If you give me a moment, I can figure that out.
Right. We don't even have our promo.
It's fine. Just follow all of us. We'll tell you things.
And we'll tell you eventually. One last comment here. Check out Daniel's podcast, Watch Okay Please.
Oh yeah.
And they'll be talking about the bear. Is that what it's called, Doug? The bear?
Yep.
Yep. And that's it, y'all. We had a great time. We'll see y'all next week. Same time.
We have Wendy Aarons on next week, which will be really fun. So she's a comedy writer, really amazing, really funny. It'll be really great.
Oh, okay. Great. Yep. Sorry, Wendy. We didn't give you the right Zoom.
They're gonna stand on their own next week. It's gonna be great.
Just run last week's. Thank you again, Doug or Greg. Maybe.
Yeah. Thanks.